Hello everyone, and welcome to another live stream with me, 320 Sim Pilots. Thank you all for coming along. And I know what's about to happen. You're about to hear an echo. Let me turn that off. Yeah, so thank you very much for coming along to the live stream this afternoon. We've had a little bit of a break since our last one. I hope you're all doing very well. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to come out this afternoon to fly with us. We're going to be taking our Toliss A321 NEO. I've gone for a long-range version today. Makes no difference to us, really. We're not going to use the extra fuel. And we're going to head over to the Azores, which is not somewhere we've been on the channel before. So I'm quite excited to go a bit over water in our fantastic 321. Let me just check. How is the audio for you guys? Are you guys able to hear me? We've had a few problems lately. So I'm just having a look around. Yeah, I think we're doing okay. Right, good to see you guys in the chat. Thanks for coming along to Kai, James, Warrior Lad. Good to see you. Wired Womble as well. John Padfield. Hope you're doing well. Anshu is in the FS Labs. Excellent. I hope that all works out for you. Delta 1550. Chedley, good to see you guys. Swiss Pilot as well. Good evening to you. Yes, Papa. Thanks for coming and moderating. Yes, Papa. Also a very hard worker in the community. Runs the Discord as the admin, with all the clever bots and systems that you guys see there, all set up by Yes Papa for us. So that's thank you very much as always. Mash, hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming along. Sounds like something was kicking off on VATSIM. Oh, I don't know. I wasn't aware of that. Hopefully none of that today. I think we might have a controller here for us as we set off. Deep Future, good to see you. Matteo Chewy, thanks for coming and moderating. Joseph Mitchell as well. Sorry again if I miss anyone's names. Dougal McTavish, thank you for coming and moderating. Also some news from the Simwings community to talk about later as we get into the flight. So do remind me if there's a quiet spot and I haven't mentioned it. But yeah, thanks for coming and moderating, Dougal. Lizzo5 as well. Good to see you. Right, scrolling through. Let's have a look. Mustafa, thank you for coming. Junning, greetings to you. The Only Millhouse, hope you're doing well. Kevin. Right. I'm just zooming through the chat. I do apologise. Yes, it sounds like it's working. Everyone's saying hello. There's a whole load of hellos. I always do this, and then I always end up spending 20 minutes doing it. Santiago Perez, good to see you. Sounds like the audio is working fantastic. Coxie says, hi, hello to you. Ethan as well, and Rise, Benny, Frangus, Sagost. How, if I got that right, from for the Azores, Portugal. Have a good flight. Thank you very much. We hope to. Matt, Bruno, GTA, Ralph, Vladislav, good to see you as well. Right, let us get ourselves setting up, really. It's not a particularly concerning flight in the sense that it's a nice, simple route. The route's available. If you put in exclamation mark route, hopefully Streamlabs bot will wake up for you. And yeah, it's going to be a nice little hop over, heading very much out over water. Jumping to the flight there, I can show you guys. So I just wanted to start the flight a little bit earlier. It's a bit of a long flight, 2.5 hours. But there we go. We are here, and we're just heading west, basically. There's Madeira. There's the Azores. There's the Canary Islands. I think that's down near Cape Verde, down there. So we're going to head out, and yeah, it should be good fun. I probably already got my geography wrong. You guys have all seen that before. So yeah. Right, as ever, thank you for coming. If you have any questions, do save them for the flight. We've got a nice long sector here. Swappy S, thanks for coming and moderating. Hope you're doing well as well. Ethan Bubeck, thank you very much for your $2 solid donation. Ethan says, hi, I am new here. My parents are from the Azores. Fantastic. Well, there you go. I've got a few Wikipedia facts for the flight, as always, on my streams. But yeah, do please fill in any information that you think we should know, because I'm sure it's better than what I've got. But here we are. Now, I thought we were on gate 27 when we arrived. We did stream live to Malaga. We had a nice big community of aircraft flew. But I actually think we possibly were parked there. I don't remember. I had 27 in my mind. But anyway, here we are. Got another Manta 375 here. Looks like they're flying along. I think that's the Alpaca over there, who I still haven't installed the... I need to install the library to make sure we get the right textures there for the flight at sim livery. But yeah, we are on VATSIM today, Nico. Yes, so if anyone wants to fly along, there you go. The route's been added about 1,000 times. So there you go. It probably needs to be modified slightly because I've just realised it's got a direct to Comot at the start. And there's no SIDs that go there. So we'll need to add in a SID of our own. But yeah, great to see you guys. Mateo says, does A321 NEO have rotation law? The real one does. The Toliss, I do not think it has it yet. I'm not sure if it's on the way or not. But yeah, rotation law, the first time we saw that was in Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is why I made a video on it then. Doc Retro, good to see you. Thanks for coming along as well. And Captain Bagoff, greetings from Frankfurt. Yeah, greetings to you. So, I am excited. This should be good fun. We've had a little bit of a break. I've been a bit busy. Couldn't get around to the streams or the videos for the last sort of week or so. So it's nice to be back and to have a bit of fun with the streams again. We are on X-Plane for anyone wondering. It was well, this is where we started. This is what the channel was doing a lot of the time, and it's where we started out until Microsoft Flight Simulator came along, and then we started doing both, and we will continue to do both. And we feature all sorts of airliners as well. So we have the Toliss, and there's loads of great airliners in X-Plane 11 that we use. So yeah, so hopefully that's no problem for you guys. And as I always say, you know, the Airbus is the Airbus, and the more accurate they will become, and the Toliss is very accurate. The more accurate they become, the more it doesn't matter which simulator you're using. This is the same stuff, and a lot of, you know, you'll recognize this stuff from the fly-by-wire if you're using that. Some things not available yet, but yeah, so should be good fun. This is an add-on for X-Plane 11, exactly. Handler 2.0 is asking, should I spend 80 on the Toliss or spend 60 on Microsoft Flight Simulator and get the free A321X? Not spamming, just wants to know what plane is overall better. The problem is the Toliss has been out longer. It's a better Airbus representation at the moment, but the graphics are limited by X-Plane, as we know. But the actual systems, and it has failures and so on, which aren't in the A321X yet. But then things will change in the future. So there you go. Anusha is in the friendly FS Labs. There you go. The FS Labs and P3D, I think, is meant to be one of the best Airbus simulations out there. But there you go. Right. So things will change. Things will change as to which is better. It's such a hard question. But this is where I started the channel, and then the A321X has just come along in the meantime and just been amazing progress to follow. So let's get ourselves started. We pretty much, this is a powered on aeroplane. Should be roughly as we left it. What's changed since we parked up is we've loaded it up. We've got some passengers on, quite a few passengers today. If I go to loading, we've got 175 passengers plus their bags to head out to the Azores. We're going to take 10.7 tons of fuel, which is exactly the fuel required by our flight plan. That is for a old engine aircraft, so we'll have extra fuel when we get there. And I'm a little bit curious just to see if, we can work out exactly the fuel burn difference to see if the Toliss has modelled it. Also today, unusually for my streams, we're going to take the, we're taking not the LEAP engines, we're taking the, what are they called? You can tell I'm out of practice. The Pratt & Whitney. There you go. We've got the Pratt & Whitney engines today. This livery is available, !livery, and you'll get a link to this for anyone using X-Plane 11 and the Toliss. And the livery that you get will work with all variants, including the NEOs of the Toliss A321. Yeah, so it's been hard worked on by our livery editor in X-Plane 11. So there we go. So it's got all 4 engines now modelled, which is nice to get up to date. Okay, so let's get loading in. We're going from Malaga to, and I'm going to have to keep looking this up because it's somewhere I've never been, Lima Papa Delta, alternate of Lima Papa Alpha Zulu. Luckily there is an alternate in the Azores, so we don't have to have enough fuel to get back to Portugal or anything. So let's put that there. Yeah, everyone's got it. Pratt & Whitney, you guys are all over it. It's funny, I go through phases of talking about the NEO, and then we talk about other things, and then by the time you come back around to it, you've forgotten half the things. So yeah. Right. Max, good to see you. Max Musterman. Sadly won't be joining the flight, but we'll join watching later. Okay, great, Max. Thanks for coming along, letting us know, and we'll see you again later. There is a thing with this, which is, I understand, this is a slightly earlier stream than I normally do, but I just sort of messed around with the times a little bit, a few hours either way. This is a bit of a longer flight, and I just wanted to ease back into it with a nice afternoon flight. But I understand those of you at work, this is not an ideal time. So yeah, we'll be going back to a later, or vary the stream times as things move on. We can align that IRS. Again, I always say it would do that automatically with a GPS aeroplane. Flight number, we are going to be the Manta 256 today. Costanex, they've given us 5. I'm actually just going to go in Costanex 0. The climb speeds are always too fast, I think, in the Toliss. Cruising at 340. We've got a step climb to 360. So I filed the flight plan. What did I file? I think I filed at 360. But I'm going to put in 340 and then put the step climb in later and show you how to do that. Something we haven't really bothered with before. Now I would load the wind now. I'm going to load the wind once I put the route in. So obviously if I show you data as well, by the way, yeah, we got this latest database that just came out, I think a couple of days ago. Not sure though, it's been a while. And there you go, in it, flight plan then. So they're using runway 13, which is pretty standard for Malaga. Question is, I don't know which of these SIDs they're going to try and send us on. So let me just check. Let's have a look at this. I think we have a controller here. So what I might do, I'm going to grab my clearance now, just to make life easier. So we got to QNH of 1025, which is information Delta. Yeah, I never know. Do you guys want me to? I can, do the ATIS through the radio panels. I don't know whether that's something you guys would prefer to hear. Oh, I haven't done something yet. There you go, naughty. These would be turned on. These are never turned off, the radios in the real aircraft anyway, even when you power down. Yeah, so I'll run the ATIS. Let's do it 120375. So those of you watching can get an idea of what sort of conditions we are facing as we brave our way out over the ocean. But pretty much the weather's really nice, actually, both ends. Is that going to work? Let's see. No. Nope. Nope, not working. Okay, oh, that shouldn't be armed. That'll be down there. No problem. So yeah, anyway, we have information Delta, light winds, and we're on stand 27. So let's grab our clearance. What I might do, and this is a trick I do in real life as well. If you go to, so I'm not sure which departure they're going to give us because I haven't done a proper flight plan really. I'm surprised SimBrief didn't, but it's normally very good, but it didn't today. So I'm just going to bring these up and then see if I can spot the one they give us. And that's Tower, yeah, Malaga Tower, okay. Malaga Tower, good afternoon, Manta 256, stand 27, A321 NEO QNH 1025, information Delta, request clearance for Lima Papa Delta.
Simwings 256, good afternoon, for Information Delta available. You are clear to destination as filed via Jerez to Hotel Departure, runway 13, squawk 4417.
Clear to Lima Papa Delta via runway 13, squawk 4417. Sorry, could you say again the departure?
Yes, Simwings 256, departure, Juliet Romeo Zulu to Hotel, Jerez to Hotel Departure.
Thank you, Jerez to Hotel Departure, squawk 4417, Manta 256.
Simwings 256, reback correct, QNH 1025.
QNH 1025, thank you, Manta 256. There we go, right. Jerez to Hotel, there we go. So it doesn't work when you can't read the title when it has that shortened version. That's not the system I use normally gives it all away. But there we go. So out to Jerez, which is off to the west. So that makes sense. That's a pretty good departure. That's nice of the controller to do it. Oh yeah, Matt Haynes says set a hotkey to the Avi tab to make it easier. Yeah, that is a really good tip. I should definitely do that in the future. Definitely hotkey for Avi tab. Yeah. I've been messing around with voice attack in DCS, and that has been a complete nightmare. I've been struggling so much to get that set up, but we'll talk about that later. But there we go. Right, so there's the departure out from runway 13, 9 miles, right turn around the arc, and then out to D33, and then up to Alora, and then Jerez. We've got lots of terrain here, which is why we can't just make our right turn and go straight towards it. Okay, so back in the flight deck, let's get that set up. So Stubeka says, he's back. Hello, hello. I'm currently on a Microsoft Flight Simulator long haul from Ethiopia to Cape Town. Wow. Well, enjoy that. And yeah, we are back. Thanks for coming along. Voice Aegis hasn't been working for a while now. Yeah, good. I'm glad it's not just me because I've been having that problem. There we go. So there's no transition. Perfect. So let's go to plan. And there it is. Just as our chart showed us. Insert. And then it gets really easy. We're going to go from Jerez to Comet. Now I might find actually that that's even not correct. Let's see. Yeah, that looks good. From Comet we go to Beckham, which is the start of the arrival. We're carving straight across the Atlantic here, but yeah, no transatlantic airways as far as I'm aware. The North Atlantic tracks are higher up, and the Tango routes south to the Canary Islands and so on to run north-south, not this direction. So there we go. I'm not sure what arrival will do, but expecting a 3-0 of some sort via Beckham. Beckham 1 November, something like that. There it is. Putting that. Something reasonable. And look, it now completes the route for us. It didn't used to, which is great news. Alan Story, good afternoon to you. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming, Alan, a long-time supporter and viewer. Alan says, good afternoon. Sorry I'm late. Just completed flight from Adelaide to Sydney. Thank you for your excellent video on engine failure. Very informative with your impeccable delivery. Thank you very much, Alan. Yes, on the channel we have a video for the engine failures on takeoff, which is something that was requested a lot. Toliss updated the aircraft a little while back, so they added that feature. So I thought it would be good to, or they improved the single engine handling. So I wanted to give it a go. And yeah, really good, really good. So yeah, video on the channel about dealing with engine failures on takeoff. Swiss Pilot says, are you flying an X-Plane with Thrustmaster, Airbus stick and throttle? Yes, I am. I use this exact same joystick for X-Plane and Microsoft Flight Simulator. So there's our route, secondary flight plan. Let's just make it a copy. There's nothing too exciting. What we could probably imagine doing, though, is after MGA 34, I'm going to put in a new destination of Malaga. Oh, no, not there. Here we go here for a return, because we wouldn't want to head up over the hills if we've had an engine failure. But then we'll work out what our arrival would be as and when we need it, because it would be ideal if we could come back in the other way, even if there's a little bit of a tailwind. Diffs. Right, so Mike Lima Golf, we are going to use it. So let's put it up there because it's part of that departure. There it is, 9 miles Mike Lima Golf. Again, probably the Airbus would have shown it to us anyway down here. And as you saw, it was auto-tuned, but I'll just force it to show it the whole time. Okay, that's all looking good. Let's get the terrain on. I'm going to turn off that second needle. I don't like having 2 needles, especially when they show the same thing. It just gets confusing on your screen otherwise. And there we go. So, RadNav init B time. Close that. Right. 200 kilos taxi, definitely reasonable, especially in the NEO. Taking off with 68.80 fuel weight and a trim of 27.4. You'll notice these days the Toliss, the NEO ones, will give you an ECAM if your trim is set slightly wrong. Doc Retro says, the engine failure video had a good timing too with the real world events in the last days. Yes, we've seen some amazing things going on in the world of aviation, some spectacular footage. So yeah, it was a real coincidence. But yeah, that 777 was quite impressive, amazing. Never seen anything like it. Well, we have actually, but yeah, still, it was good to see that it all worked out well. Parasim, good to see you. How do you know which when transition to use? Flight plan. So the transitions are, for departure, that there's rarely a transition. Sometimes they come up and you just have to connect your one to where you know your departure will end. For the arrival, we'll talk about it as we go because, yeah, there's quite a few. Typically, it's more obvious than you'd think because, like I've said before, the Toliss makes you enter the transitions, but in real life, the transitions are usually automatic with the star and the approach. And then you'll only have to actually enter the transition if you need it to fly a procedure or something different. Anyway, there we go, 10.7. Now, importantly, I'm not going to take the fuel from here. I need to look here and make sure I take the fuel that I actually have on board. So there it is, 10.7 tons of fuel. And whilst I'm here, I like to check that it is all in the right place. There it is, 5.5. And you see we're not using the center or the auxiliary with just 10.7. It's just not required. Now, hopefully this is enough fuel. It certainly is as per the flight plan. And I'm just going to check that. 10.7, that's what it reckons, which is 2.5 hours of flying, 15 minutes contingency with the alternates. Weather's nice where we're going. I'd imagine you'd probably take a bit more to the Azores in real life, but you know we're in a NEO, so we should burn a bit less. So I can eat those words later. There you go, 10.7, taking off at 79 tons, quite reasonable. Oh yeah, and let's put in our alternate. So alternate is about 900 kilos, so pretty close actually. Alternate of 1. 2 tons extra, so it reckons it's going to burn 6.3 versus 7.6. So yeah, over a ton fuel saving by using a NEO on this flight. Not bad at all. Right, so the final thing will be performance, but I am going to load in the wind now. Get that loaded in. Go to performance. Okay. Do a flap 1 takeoff. No shift. Flap's going to be at 1. Flex 57. Speeds 152. 152. 154. So no split on the V1 and rotate. As we saw, if we have an engine failure, that makes it a little bit more tricky, but at the same time, it's just a feature of the fact that V1 doesn't have to be high. So it doesn't have to be lowered because they've got a nice long runway. So actually, it's not a bad thing. But there we go. Clean speed of 231 knots. Is that going to be an issue for our departure today? Yeah. Now you say it, a hotkey for Avitab does make a lot of sense. I can't believe I haven't done it. Let's just check for any speed limits. So we're going to take off, climbing to flight level 90. So we've been cleared for that. So let's put in 90 in here. There it is. We're not going to set standards. So you can set standard, obviously, when you're cleared to a flight level. I see some confusion about this sometimes, which is when do you set it? Why would you change it over and so on? But yeah, it's you're going to want to have your QNH when you're on the ground like this and as you take off, even though we're cleared up to a flight level initially. Also, what's the transition altitude? It will be up here somewhere. 6,000 feet transition altitude, which is shown there. So the airplane will flash as we go above. But basically, we'll get airborne, and pretty soon after takeoff, we're just going to set standard. If I forget, the airplane will flash. Hope it doesn't have fuel. Yeah, exactly. Warrior Lad is taking double that in the A300. Fantastic, yeah. And probably this plane, 321 NEOs can hold, I don't know how many passengers, but they hold, a couple of hundred. It's amazing, really. Auntie says, maybe we can take extra fuel cans in the cargo hold and sell them at a good price when things go south. Yeah, could be an option. James says, fuel talk got me thinking, random failures on or off this time around? Ooh, that is a good point. Random failures are on, I think. What I might do, seeing as we're heading out over the water, I'm going to set it to that. Just going to lower it down a bit so we don't have anything we don't end up with 2 failures happening on the way over there. That's a really good point. Yeah, I don't want to have an engine failure halfway across because we're not actually. I'm not sure this is going to be an ETOPS flight. Actually, we'll see when we get. No, it won't be an ETOPS flight. We're going to be fine, as far as I'm aware. Again, guys, this is not a route I've ever flown. It's not an airport I've ever flown to. So I'm just doing it for my own amusement, really. I reckon, given that it's a 2.5 hour flight, we're going out via Jerez. Jerez is here, so we've got Portugal down here, Lisbon, then we've got the Canaries, then we've got Madeira, then we've got the Azores. So I suspect we can do it within 90 minutes on a single engine. But again, no real flight crew would have to guess. They would know an ETOPS is a whole huge deal, massive deal. Yeah, massive deal if that comes up. Right, Ethan, if you put exclamation mark specs, we'll get you the specs. Sadly, it's not Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, but we'll be using that again soon. Don't worry. And then there's been a lot of updates. I don't know what state Microsoft Flight Simulator's in. Is it currently working? Does the A321 mod work? I know they're usually very quick at fixing it after big updates. Right, let us close up some doors. And close. Good stuff. And we'll get the ground handling to drive away, and we'll fire up that APU. 1, 2, 3. Seatbelt signs can go on. Got our fuel on board. Here comes the APU. There goes all our ground stuff. Shame, actually, I must set up a wing view on the other side. We're always on this side in the Toliss. I forgot that. There they go. Hello, Van der Veen says, I couldn't be here from the start. Luckily, we're still on the ground. Yeah, absolutely. It takes me at least 40 minutes to get going. It's working right now. It says it didn't even break. Excellent. That's good news. I'll have to go and use that again. No, we're not going to use oceanic clearance for this one because we're not going to be taking those routes as far as I'm aware. We might need it. We'll see. A321X is fine, but they've messed up the flaps with all other aircraft. Oh, dear. FS Dirt says hello. Hello to you. Thanks for coming.
Malaga Tower, Alpaca 28 24.
Right, people are getting ready. So, what we're going to do...
Alpaca 28 Whiskey Alpha, push and start approved.
Push and start approved, Alpaca 28 Whiskey Alpha.
Dog Retro says, how long does the APU run up normally take? Well, not long. I think the Toliss is pretty spot on. There it is. Again, we leave it to warm up now, but we can get rid of that ground power. Very important you get rid of that ground power before you do anything else. Or certainly before you try and push back. Or you have a huge hole ripped out underneath the nose of the airplane. That should be on. Right, let's have a look through. Strobe lights are on, or an auto. Nav lights are on. Otherwise, backflow can go to norm because we're quite busy today. And I think we are getting into a position where we are ready to go. I'll leave that in auto and that in auto. Good stuff. Oh yeah, squawk. We haven't set the squawk. Even with my fancy radio panel, 4417. Oh, it doesn't work anymore. Oh, that's a shame. Not sure why. Nope. Oh well, I spent all that time. I was sat here doing it very carefully on my radio panel. Looks like it doesn't work anymore on here. There we go. Right, so that is ready to go. So we've done our copy prep, gear pins, doors. We've got mobile phones off. Let's get that APU bleed up and running now. Oh, stand by guys, just 1 second. Sorry about that, guys. Just getting something sorted out here. So, okay. Hello, Mike Sheldon. Good to see you as well. Nice Vex. Good to see you as well. Better baggage carts here in X-Plane 11. Container trolleys fit in the 321 better than the wrong hand load baggage in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. Right. Yeah, flaps are messed up, but the A321X fixes it. What happened to the flaps then in Microsoft Flight Simulator? That's something we've got to find out. Right, guys, I'm really sorry about that. What was going on was my checklist wasn't with me that I normally use for these streams. So, 4-star checklist then, we're going to run that because we're ready to go. So, copy prep completed, both sides, gear pins and covers removed, signs on and auto. ADIS, we've put them into a nav already. Fuel quantity, we've got our 10.7 tons. Takeoff data is set, and it's here, and it's here. And barra ref is 1025, and that's set. So, that's all great. Windows and doors are closed. In fact, let's get our pushback first. Pushback and then we'll do low line. Manta 256, stand 27, request push and start.
Manta 256, push and start approved, facing west.
Push shall approved to face west, Manta 256. Okay, perfect. So we are currently facing east. So that's pushback to face west over there. Get rid of the ground stuff.
Show me where you want to go.
Facing west, which is going to be here.
Ground cockpit. Tower is driving up.
They're driving up, which is great news. So below the line then, windows, doors closed. Beacon can come on. Mobile phone off, thrust levers are at idle, and the parking brake is set. So we're going to wait for the ground crew now. FO will be on flight plan. They'll be on constraints. We'll have terrain. There's no weather out there. It's a nice day. It's a very nice day. And there's our route, you see. So straight ahead, out, right turn. So we've been cleared for push and start already. Domingo Da Vinci, thanks for coming along. Domingo Da Vinci says, what's up? Feels like I've been watching your stream for almost a year now. Hope you're doing well. I am doing very well, doing good, Da Vinci. Thanks for coming. And yeah, we're coming up on a year anniversary in a few months. So yeah, God, I can't believe it. I really can't believe it.
Manta 256, maintain position and give the way to Alpaca 28 Whiskey Alpha Airbus 306.
Okay, Manta 256 will maintain position and then we'll give way to the Alpaca A300 and then we'll push after they've gone past. Okay, so they're going to go and then we're going to push back to face west on there. So that's fine. We're ready to go. Beacons on. We'll just wait it out. We're very relaxed. Visibility is dropping, definitely. Yeah, so yeah, it's been almost a year. But thanks for coming, Domingo Da Vinci. Thanks for supporting the channel. Chief Sim Pilots, thanks for coming along. I hope you're doing well. Chief Sim Pilot, another member of Simwings and also a another YouTuber with plenty of variety of content. Thanks for coming along, Chief Sim Pilot. I hope you're doing very well. So apparently the flaps have too much lift now. So yeah, interesting. UK update mess the drag versus lift model for flaps across the board. Oh dear. But there is a fix. Yeah, that was my concern. I mean, I'm glad the A321 NEO team have fixed it already. So we'll have to stream that soon and have a look. Dave Connor says, hi everyone, I'm glad I managed to catch another live stream. I don't get to hardly watch any live ones. Yeah, thanks. Great. I'm glad you managed to catch this one. As I said, it's the times. I try and mix the times up a little bit. I know I just vary it by an hour or two each way. But yeah, it's something I just try and do. Mike Sheldon says, hello, good to see the Toliss again. Yeah, exactly. We do like flying the Toliss, definitely. Giving way to our Packers, says John Padfield, yes. Window Seat, good to see you. Window Seat are a resident engineer, so or Airbus and Boeing engineer, actually, although current Airbus engineer. So thank you, Window Seat. Thanks for coming along. I hope you're doing well. Chief Sim Pilot says, thanks as always. I'm just another NASA workday. You're working at NASA? Goodness me. Amazing. Fantastic. John Wells says, what ground handling add-on do you use? I've got the Ground Handling Deluxe by Jar Design. I always have to read that to remember what it's called. I don't know how they came up with such a long title for it, but yeah. I like it a lot. Works very well. Good. Yeah, we got a few people flying along. Excellent news. FS Turt says, hope you managed to get some time in the sky over the past few months. Sadly, in England or the UK, I'm UK based, things have been much slower the last couple of months. Very slow indeed. Right, there goes the A300. Let's go. Brakes released. Start the clock. So there you go. That took us 34 minutes from starting the stream. That's not bad. Not bad for one of my streams. Right, let's get that engine up and running. So I'm going to remember to do it properly. Yes, look at that. Oof, I thought the whole thing crashed then. That was a bit of a scary moment. Oh, we've got cooling. It wants 43 seconds of cooling. Oh well. Let's start number 2 then, or we'll be here all day. Obviously we've got our pressure, so what it's going to do now is spool up, get the inside of the engine ticking over, and then this countdown will start. There you go, completely automatic, very clever stuff. The reason it does this is because they had trouble when these engines first came out, and they want to make sure that the inside of the engine doesn't get warped or bent by cooling unevenly, so they spin them around. And the LEAP engines do it as well, but not quite as long. It doesn't have the same feature required. Russell says, hey Skipper, enjoy your streams when I can. Old PC means I can only fly on FSX and P3D, but trying to keep current for when I win the lottery. Yeah, well, I mean, you know, FSX has plenty of good Airbuses on it as well. So I'm sure you can replicate most of this stuff. But thanks for coming along, Russell, and thanks for saying so. Glad you enjoy the videos. This is payware, Adam. This is payware. Tim and Grish says, good day, Captain. Finally got to watch your streams for the first time since forever. Safe flight. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming along. Glad you made it. Yeah, so this is the advantage of streaming at different times of day, I suppose. Definitely. There we go. It's still ticking over, but M1 has just started to register. No fuel flow. So it's starting to give itself a bit more power. And there's the fuel. Ignition. And there it goes. I love the big spinner on this Pratt & Whitney. Oh. I can do that from here. There it goes. All very civilized. That's available, so let's not hang around. Let's get engine 1 up and running. I imagine with a... Oh, I've done it wrong. Oh, dear. Oh, well, we'll manage. Yeah, with an engine like this... Yeah, it's it's not drawn the line. Anyway, we'll manage. That looks like the taxiway edge line. It's the first time I've seen that in X-Plane, but there we go. Yeah, I imagine it'd be quite advantageous to do single engine taxi, because we could carry on with everything, taxi out on engine 1, and then you start up engine 2 as we're going. The only downside of that is we could end up holding people up while we're starting the engine over at the holding point. So it's all a balancing act. Captain Bagoff says, but that 777 though, which 777? Am I missing? Azars says it's all automatic, wouldn't expect less from an Airbus. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I just realised I started engine 1 not using my little TCA, which has the potential to cause problems later. There we go, there's the wave from the ground crew. They're all happy. Great stuff. Cam says, I hope all as well you can use a dual cooling feature to have the other engine be ready. Oh, of course. Yeah, we could have pressed that. Yeah, see, that's why it's good to fly these other engines. Thanks, Cam. Thanks for coming along as well. Good to see you here, Cam. Cam A321, a big member of the community. Yeah. There we go, that's available. So, back to norm. Bleed off, APU off. Don't need the anti-ice. It's pretty mild up there, 16 degrees. Let's set that trim. It's going to be something pretty standard, but the Toliss is very sensitive these days. It wants 28.6 because it's the NEO. So 25, 6, 7, 8.6, maybe a little bit that way. Near 29. Right, arm the ground spoilers, center the rudder trim, flaps to 1. That should be on transponder by now. And let's put it to on because it's just a bug. You can leave it in auto normally. And that's us ready for taxi. I think it's time we do that. Captain says, "Oh, the one that engine blew up midair after departure." Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was a 777. Sorry, yeah, of course. Yeah, no, that was amazing. Amazing footage. I've never seen something quite like that. I know we've seen similar, but that was really something. Yeah, do let me know how the stream quality is. I hope it's doing all right. Sorry about that, Joe. Hopefully it's not us. There's no payware for the Azores. There is freeware. But sadly, I don't have that installed, and I'll explain why as we go. Right, let's get out of here. We're blocking our friend. Manta 256, request taxi.
Manta 256, taxi to holding point runway 13 via Golf 5 and Alpha.
By Golf 5 Alpha, holding point runway 13. Manta 256. Now I think Golf 5 is this next one. Yeah, that's Golf 5, and we can see it there, Golf 5. And then it's a right turn for runway 13, which will also mean that is Alpha, as we can see over there. So left, right, and up we go to the holding point. Bring up the chart just to make sure. Golf Alpha, good. Lights on, clear on the right, clear on the left. Let's get the performance page up there. Release the brakes. Off we go. Now, I think the best sound pack in the Toliss is the one they included with the Pratt & Whitneys. They sound amazing when you give them a bit of a rev. Really like them. So it'd be good fun to have that again.
Azores 595, stand 18, ready for push and start.
Okay, round we go. So I can tell you that YouTube says the stream quality is in good connection. So I don't know if you're getting lags. Sometimes if you have a high frame rate, it can cause this problem when streaming. I've seen that before, but I didn't expect it. I've never had it become a major issue in X-Plane, but it's possible. It is possible. Maybe I'll have to look into limiting the frame rate. I try not to because, of course, if you limit the frame rate, it can lower your total. Oh, bit too much there. Yeah, so it's something we have to be a little bit careful. if ATC is a bit quiet, I can turn up the sound of the airplane and ATC, hopefully. It's very hard for me to judge. Right, we're heading out. There's an EasyJet, I think, coming with us as well. Stream is fine here. Good news, good news. Okay, great. No lag here, stream smooth. Perfect. So yeah. Good. For some reason in X-Plane I don't have trouble. If I have a high frame rate in something like DCS, which you can get higher frame rates on, I had trouble where it was lagging for the whole stream, which was really upsetting. But yeah, no, that's good. Sounds like it's working. Great stuff. Thanks, guys. Right. We're going all the way down to 13. Let's do those flight controls. Full down, full up, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, and let's do full right, full left, neutral. Okay, so there's our departure then. We're going to take off on the runway on our left. We're going to head out and then make our right turn, eventually round back up over those hills with an MSA. Pretty high MSA for this one, so we need to get above 8.5 and then keep climbing basically. But 8.5 should cover us initially. We cleared up to 9.0, so we're already going to be higher than that. Just need to remember to set standard when we get underway. We're going to have the anti-ice off, but the pack's on for this takeoff. No great issue there. It's not a low-vis takeoff or anything like that. Even this looks murky, but it's not low-vis territory. And away we go. We are pretty heavy. We are probably above the max landing rate for this airplane, but I've got to admit that does vary a lot. So I couldn't tell you the exact A321 long-range max landing rate, but it's probably heavier. I wouldn't be surprised if it's even heavier than that. We'll see. Somewhere around 75 tons, I would expect it to be. I've got no colour filter in preferences, no. It's just a bit fuzzy, then it sorts itself out. I may try restarting my router. Yeah. Joe, well, I'm sorry to hear you're having trouble, but yeah, I don't think there's anything else I can do with it, really. Okay, right, so, oh, I've just lost my checklist. Let's go. So, after start, we should have done our anti-ice off, ECAM status, pitch trim and rudder trim. Let's do before takeoffs. Flight controls are checked, flight instruments checked, briefing confirmed. Flaps are config 1+F in there and config 1 in there. Transponder is set. Put it to TARA now. And let's finish up. Eco memo is takeoff no blue. We're ready to go. Alan Story, thank you very much for your £10 donation. Really appreciate it, Alan. Constantly supporting the channel, far more than you need to. But thank you very much, Alan. Alan says, put this towards your throttle quadrant add-ons. I have them and they make piloting the Toliss 321 a real joy. Thank you so much, Alan. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm checking every day or whenever I can. I check for the Thrustmaster add-ons for the quadrant. So thank you very much, Alan. I will put it towards that, and that's really kind of you. Thank you so much for supporting the channel all these times over the last year, really. Alan's been here a long time. But yeah, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. It is indeed murky, yeah. Right, what's our ground speed? 20 knots. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. Just going to have to readjust my feet to make sure I can get to the pedals for takeoff. There we go. Yeah, really nice engines. Let's see if we can give it a bit of a, as we're on our own, let's give them a bit of a spool up. Get that noise. So I'll stop talking for a second. There you go. That is really nice. Really nice. I'm pretty sure the Leaps do a bit of that as well, but they aren't modelled in this add-on. Now it's a bit of a mess of a holding point down here at the end of the runway, as you guys will see. We're coming down. There's all these different ones, so we've got to make sure we don't accidentally use the exit. It should say no entry on it, so we can go all the way around here, or we can take, I believe, HN1R, but not HN1L, which is an exit point. It's my understanding. We shall see. Richie Reed said, I missed the Maldives island hopping. Let's do one at Azores. Yeah, that could be an idea for the future. Kadeko says, how do you decide packs on or off takeoff? Your airline will probably have a SOP on it. So it is more efficient to go packs off. It saves a bit of fuel. But it means there's no ventilation. Line up and wait, runway 13, Manta 256. There we go. So did line up and wait. So cabin is secured for takeoff. Packs are going to be on TCAS TARA. Engine mode select is in norm. So here's Alpha 3. We're clear to go where we want, really. So what I'm going to do is, let's see if I can get the right one. So was I right in my guess there as to which one is correct? Yeah. So we got performance. Basically, we're going to go full length. If we go left here and on, and I think that is the no entry one. Not sure though. Not sure. Anyway, that's what we're going to do because it's not going to make any difference to our takeoff run. Right. Okay, entering the runway. Clear on approach. Nothing on our navigation display. Get all those lights on. Be as bright as possible. We are ready to go. Exciting times. About 2.5 hours of flying ahead of us. There you go. Here's the no entry signs. They don't want us coming back in this way.
Manta 256, wind from 150 degrees, 5 knots, runway 13, clear to take off.
Clear for takeoff, runway 13, Manta 256. Okay, hope you've got everything with you guys. We are going to go. And we're not going to wait around. Let's get ourselves underway. Right. Engines are 50%. Start the timer. Half side stick down. Hopefully the airplane's happy with the trim. 2 clicks forward. Off we go. Manflex 57. Oh, there it is. It's always unhappy these days. SRS runway. Auto thrust is blue. Now, that would be a stop in real life. But, yeah, I've had that where it's just really sensitive to it. Which is not something I've seen on the real airplane, I must admit. Right, 80 to 100. There it goes. And rotates. Pull through the 10 degrees. So yeah, still no rotate law in here, definitely. And there's nav. Positive climb. Gear up. Yeah, pretty murky. It'd be nice to get somewhere a bit sunnier. Quite reactive flight director bars at this point, so I'm not going to chase them too much. Because as you can see, they're moving a lot and then they're sort of coming back to where you'd expect them to be in the first place. Great sound effects though. Right, time to accelerate. Levers to climb. Thrust, climb, climb, auto thrust. You can bring the levers to climb. 1228. Thank you very much for the control. And bye-bye, Manta 256. There we go. Right. So you can bring the thrust to climb. 1228 we are on. Even when, you know, you're lowering the nose at the same time. You don't have to wait for the trend up. But we can't retract the flaps until we have that acceleration arrow. We don't want to retract the flaps while we're slowing down. Matt says if you make sure the trim matches on the flight control page to the ISTS page, you don't get the warning. There you go. Yeah, that must be it. It's, yeah, I'm still... It's actually a caution I've never seen on the real aircraft either. But still, there we go. It must be quite a sensitive system at the moment. Right, flap auto retraction, all as per usual. There they go. Get above the green S. And flaps to 0. So DME arcs, I get asked a lot about DME arcs because people want to be able to fly them raw data. But the reality of DME arcs is there's something we do so rarely. Right, let's get set to standard. There we go, flight 190. But flying a DME arc raw data is not a very precise thing. You sort of have to think of it as a 50 pence piece, which in the UK is a coin which has straight edges. So it's sort of like you just follow straight line. So you'll go slightly out, then you'll turn slightly more in, cut inside, and then slightly out, and you just sort of average out at following the arc. They're nowhere near as precise. There's no... Oh, there is a way, I'm sure, to calculate every part of wind and bank angle to fly it perfectly. But these days, with RNAV like this, we'll just do it. The airplane will do it spot on. Right, off we go then. After takeoff, checklist, landing gears up. Flaps retracted. We can disarm the speed brakes. Get rid of those nose wheel lights. Above the cloud already, fantastic. Still warm, 15 degrees up there. Let's have our departure shot. Basically turning right out to sea. Love it. Matt says, did you set the trim in the MCDU? That needs setting too. Ah, okay. Again, that is not an SOP in any airline I've worked at to actually set the trim in there. But I suspect it's an option. Anyway, it's gone now. But yeah, that could be it then. That could be it. Right, we're nearly at our level off. So yeah, so the DME arc here will be flown perfectly by the aircraft as it intercepts it. It will adjust the bank angle. It will account for the wind. Not something you'd do if you're flying at raw data. You just fly a heading, cut in, and then out, and then cut in, and then out, and so on. I should do a video on it at some point. It's just not something I've done since, basically since flight school, doing DME arc raw data. It's funny. Right. Thank you very much, Jeremiah Castro, for your $1.99 donation. Cool. There's the pair. Great to see him. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it, Jeremiah. Very kind of you. Thank you. Thanks for coming along. I hope you're doing very well. Right. We are cleared. Well, we can do what we want now. We're going to cruise at 3.4, optimum 3.6. Oh, so there you go. So we can go straight up to 3.6. Recommended max 3.73. Yeah. Let's do it properly. So let's go to 3.4. There's thrust climb, open climb. Still in nav. Go up to 340. What we'll do is we will just put in a step climb once we get up into the cruise. Hopefully that works in the Toliss. I've not tried it before. Don't need the ground charts. And we are on this one. Now, we're going to pass through 10,000, but we've got a bit of a sharp turn to make, considering we could be flying at 300 knots. Curious to see how it handles that. Nice West says, when would you disarm the spoilers after takeoff? So after the flap lever goes to 0, pilot monitoring will immediately disarm the spoilers and turn off the nose wheel lights. That is the flow in the Airbus. It often takes me too long on the streams because I end up talking about something else. But yeah, flaps to 0, disarm, and nose lights. It's the same on approach. Gear comes down, you arm the spoilers, and turn on the nose lights. Yeah, same sort of flow. Right, 10,000 feet, we're accelerating, no problem there. And we can turn off those landing lights, turn off the seatbelt sights. Nice, quite a high pitch angle, but that's all right. And get underway. Let's go to airport. Well, actually, I'm going to leave the secondary flight plan with a return to Malaga just in case we need it. Thank you very much, Jeremiah. Jeremiah, again, for a $4.99 donation. Really appreciate it, Jeremiah. I hope you're doing very well. And thanks very much again for coming along and contributing to the channel. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. But thanks very much, Jeremiah. Thank you. John Padfield says, step climb. Keen to learn this one. Yeah, we'll put that in then. Giuseppe's Gaming says, 320 Sim pilot question. 2 points before takeoff, you start the timer. I believe when starting the engines and just before accelerating on the runway. What's the purpose of that? Thank you, Giuseppe, for coming along. Giuseppe works very hard over at Twin for Night, who have lots of news, flight simulator news, articles, interviews. So really, really nice articles. I've read quite a few of them. So yeah, thanks for coming along, Giuseppe. Giuseppe is asking about the timer. So yeah, why do we start the chrono? So we do it when we start the engines. And that's because we want to make sure we know how long the starter valve is open and how long the starter's been running. So it's all automated is the reality, but we still monitor it just in case something happens. It gives us a better idea, a bit of a clue if something isn't quite working out. The second time we start it is on takeoff because we can only run the engines at their takeoff thrust for 5 minutes. We get 5 minutes at takeoff thrust. We get 10 minutes at takeoff thrust if we have an engine failure and we're on single engine. So we start it to make sure we don't run the engines for more than 5 minutes. Now you might say, well, how could that happen? Well, if you have an engine failure on takeoff and you get distracted or you're focusing on something else or there's a terrain issue, you could end up actually running it. It's more likely you'll run out of time on the engines during a single engine go around, which is something I'll talk about in another video as I do more sort of single engine videos. But if you do a single engine go around, you have to climb up to your go around stop altitude on one engine, which could take a while and you could end up running out of time. Yeah. Jeremiah Castro, thank you for your $9.99 US donation. Number one fan. Thank you, Jeremiah. I haven't seen any messages from Jeremiah, but Sorry if I've missed them. But yeah, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying the stream. The pair seems to think so. You're very welcome, Giuseppe. And yeah, that's why we do it. But like I say, single engine go around it's the one place you're most likely to run out of actual time on the engines. But yeah, 5 minutes on a 2-engine takeoff. Right, look at this. This is a crazy turn to be flying at the speeds we're at. So, you know, you might consider putting it back, but sometimes fiddling with the airplane is worse or just not worth it compared to letting it do it. After all, it should draw out these lines based on the speed it knows you'll be. So it's rare for it to actually get it. Like, that's a 90-degree turn, which obviously it could never fly. So I'm a little bit surprised to see this in the coding, but it could be to do with the fact it's got this arc in. Not sure the real aircraft would do that. It tends to be quite a smooth operation. So we're going to go way outside here. Part of the problem is that looks like an overfly point. Yeah, it was an overfly. See that little triangle there? So that's this OVFY. So the airplane would, if that wasn't there, it would have just cut the corner and joined this 325 track up here. But it had the overfly. Now it should overfly and then just draw a smooth line to regain it, but obviously it's not done that this time. Boeing versus Airbus says, can A321 pilots fly the 18, 19 and 20 models also? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's the magic of the Airbus. 18, 19 and 21s by the same pilots, no problem. GTA XT says, what's your favourite place to fly? I'm flying to Frankfurt right now. Yeah, so one of them was Ljubljana. We went there not long ago. That was lovely. There's a couple of places in Norway I'm hoping to visit in Microsoft Flight Simulator to see the scenery there. I think they could be quite spectacular. Another of my favourite places when I'm just relaxing in Flight Simulator, which I must admit I don't do much, but when I do sometimes just try out. I've got to enjoy the Flight Simulator on its own. So sometimes I like going to St Bart's, doing circuits around the Caribbean in Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's pretty spectacular. Great stuff. No, you're very welcome, Giuseppe. Very welcome. Gross and Moon, good to see you. If I didn't say hi already, thanks for coming along. Leonard Johnson says, thanks for the ride. You're very welcome, Leonard. And thank you very much for your 50 knock donation. Really appreciate it, Leonard. It's very kind of you. I hope you're doing very well. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Dupo says, when are the runway turn-off lights usually turned off? Runway turn-off goes off when the flap lever is put to 0. You disarm the ground spoilers, runway turn-off lights off, and the nose lights off. This one and this one. Right. Heading over to Jerez now. There's our friend in front of us, 20 miles ahead. They're doing well. I think that was an alpaca. Akilesh says, when are the US streams coming? Well, when are they coming? No promises. But what I will say is, we're going here. America's here. You know, we could do it. And I don't even, you know, it'd be a fair few hours, but we could go down there. It's definitely starting to become, definitely something I'm considering. How to get from the Azores further west. So yeah, hopefully soon. We are on the way. This is the first sort of leg, really, as we head over there. I was thinking of going via Iceland, but we've done Iceland before, so I thought I'd take this chance to go via the Azores. I'm from the UK, user, from the UK. Boeing vs Airbus says, did you ever fly to Dusseldorf? We haven't flown to Dusseldorf on stream, I don't think, no. Simon says, Bergen is a nice place to go in FS 2020 and good freeway. Yeah, we did actually. We did exactly that. I think we've been to Bergen even in... Yeah, we went in Microsoft Flight Simulator, I'm pretty sure. And I think we've been in X-Plane as well. Trondheim is a great place in Norway. Approach over the fjord or the mountains. Yeah, exactly. Loads of great approaches in Norway. And there's actually some great sceneries out there. If you look back on my channel, you'll see an old video. It was one of my very first videos in Alisund in the Toliss. So I've got to go and try and use... there's an Alisund payware for Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is definitely something I'm considering. Because I'd love to go and see that. And that scenery looked really good. Mert Errol says, I need a study level aircraft for my 320 type rating. Can you recommend me one? Okay, so I've said this before. If you're doing actual study on the Airbus, don't just be careful. That obviously these videos aren't for any of that use at all. Definitely not. But in terms of the quality of aircraft you would like, the Toliss is really good. FS Labs for P3D is considered the best, or FSX. I'm not sure if the P3D one is better than the FSX one, but yeah. I always caution, there's lots of Airbuses out there. They've been made for how long now? 40 years. So there are a lot of different variants. So the only material that's going to give you the definitive answer is going to be what your airline gives you and your airline manuals, because they'll be tailored to the exact model you've got. For example, if I was to shut down an engine now, the ECAM we get on here is slightly different to the one I expect to see on the aircraft that I actually fly, and that's the same. I did for example, emergency electrical config in a previous video, and that was the same. So I always stress that actual study level aircraft, I don't personally think you'll find. That sounds really harsh, and I know what people mean with study level. They mean, it's got all the systems working in the background, and the Toliss is really very, very good. The other advantage, of course, is X-Plane is a nice simulator. The Toliss is great, and my favourite thing in the Toliss, as we all know, is this. We get options to save configurations. You can just reload it straight back there. You can practice things over and over again like that. It will help. Where it is good is, you can see things like track FPA, and you can mess around with them. But again, their behaviour is not perfect to the real aircraft, and it may not be perfect to your particular aircraft. But yeah, certainly Toliss A321 or A319, I assume, I don't have it, are very good. Also the FS Labs, which I've never used. I've seen other people's, and it is nice. It is really good. John Padfield said, I did Heathrow to JFK trip in the Toliss 321 non-NEO. Just made it with half a ton of fuel on board. Lucky there wasn't a headwind. Yeah, exactly. Pretty impressive for a non-NEO. Yeah, very kids. Simon C says, I did a 320 circumnavigation in Microsoft Flight Simulator and also crossed the Atlantic via the Azores and St. John's. It was a very pleasant journey. Yeah, well, that's basically what we'll do, I think. And we've got other streams to do as well, but that's definitely good use for this one. Jump and Run says Christensen is also interesting. Steep glide slope, only because of village below the glide slope. Yeah, Christensen's really nice. And there's a new one coming from Microsoft Flight Simulator, I believe. GTA says, my plane is saying outer tank fuel transferred. What do I do? You do nothing. That's completely normal. You're flying a 320 or 19 in that case, not a 321. So they have lines here and here where you have tank in the outer tanks. And at a certain point later on in the flight, usually around top of descent, that fuel, these valves will open and the outer tank fuel drains into the inner tank. Totally normal, completely automatic. So yeah, let it happen. And then it would just say outer tank fuel transferred up there for the rest of the flight. Lizzo5's got your answer for you there. Jeremy says, Hawaiian Airlines flies 321s in and out of Hawaii all the time, to and from California. JetBlue flies 320s across the US, which depending on the wind is the same amount of time as transatlantic. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So we could, yeah, there's loads to do. Loads to do when we get over to America. I mean, it'll be my first time ever flying these things in America. I'm nervous of American VATSIM. You guys will be guiding me on that one for sure. Stabaka says, have a cheeky stop in Bermuda, but don't get lost. Yeah, well, exactly. Bermuda's definitely on the cards. Kodeko says, are you planning on getting Aerosoft CRJ when it's released imminently? So Aerosoft CRJ is something I'm very excited about. Yeah, definitely something I'd like to see and try out. I have some time in CRJ simulators. I've never flown the real CRJ, but I have some time in similar aircraft as well. No auto thrust, similar size, but I do have a fair few hours in the CRJ simulator. So I would not the exact same one they've got, but it's same cockpit. But yeah, so I'm very excited to see that. The Only Millhouse, thank you very much for your £5 donation. Very kind. The Only Millhouse says, thanks for the streams. I've seen some films of test flights for the 748 and it looks insane. Would you ever be a test pilot and is it dangerous? Thank you, The Only Millhouse, for your support. Really appreciate it. And in answer to your question, would I ever be a test pilot? I would love to be. Will I ever get to be one? Unlikely. They often use ex-military pilots for test flying. Now in commercial world, I really don't know where Airbus get their test pilots from, but if you can imagine, there are not many jobs for test pilots and it's a lot of learning they do, so you have to go to test pilot school and so on. Now I would really love to, and if I get the chance I'll take it, but that is a rare thing to get to do, very rare. Is it dangerous? I really don't know. I suppose it will have more risk being a test pilot than not, for sure. So it's more dangerous. Is it actually dangerous compared to, I don't know, driving a car? I doubt it these days. I doubt it. But still, I don't know much about it, to be honest. But thank you very much for the donation. Really appreciate it. Piano Learner says, hi, did you used to have the 340 from Microsoft Flight Simulator 2004? It was made by Phoenix Simulations. You could buy the CDs in shops from Just Flight. Well stacked with features and working FMCDU. No, I didn't have that one, Piano Learner. I didn't, but I will be getting the Toliss one. I will absolutely have that Toliss 340. I can't wait. Cannot wait. Andy, good to see you. Andy says, just got back in for work, got to go back later. Thanks for coming along, Andy. Plenty of work. It's good to hear Andy's work's going okay for you, Andy, actually. That is good to hear. Akilesh says, on a clear day, San Francisco to Los Angeles or up to Seattle are absolutely gorgeous on Microsoft Flight Simulator. Yeah, there you go. Something else to do. Maybe we need to do a Microsoft Flight Simulator Azores flight as well. That could be nice. So sit up in the climb then. How much fuel have we burned? 9, 10. Yeah, not much. Not much. Our colleague in front. Can we see our colleague behind? Oh yeah, the MLG VOR. We don't need that tuned. That's pointing way behind us. 67 miles. Clear that out. Let it auto-tune. Yeah, Jerez, which makes most sense. Got a video. If you're wondering about these needles, I have a video on needle tracking available on the channel. Again, applicable to X-Plane and Microsoft Flight Simulator. Works quite well in both. And yeah, we'll put in a little step climb once we're up there. Ralph says, the situation save in Toliss is excellent. Other add-ons should have it. Yeah, I absolutely agree, Ralph. It is the greatest feature, and it's a particularly good feature for streamers because it's just great. Love it. Brianni, good to see you. Thanks for coming, Brianni. Says, hey, sorry, can't stay. Crazy personal life right now. Just wanted to say hi and leave a like. Thank you very much, Brianni. Thank you for coming along. And I hope your personal life is not causing you too many headaches. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for coming along. As always, Brianni, long-time viewer and contributor. And Anonymous says, 340 is the prettiest airliner. Find me. I think the 340, I really like the 340-600, one of my all-time favourites. Here we go, coming up to our level off. 340-600, one of my all-time favourites, which luckily is the one Toliss is making. I didn't used to like the 300 and 200 with the small engines, but they've grown on me a lot. Really, I really sort of like them now. Mac out star at 340. There we go. Let's get that TCAS pointing down, because even if we climb higher, it should still show us the traffic up there. Down. Great stuff. Out cruise. Let's check some systems pages. Engines, packs, pressurization, electrics, all looking good. That's great. So, things to think about on a sort of flight like this. Well, you don't want to be stuck at the wrong flight level because it will burn extra fuel. Although we've got plenty of extra fuel. Let's see, what have we got? We've got 1.7 extra in the end. If we look at our chart, our flight plan, we were supposed to have 800 extra. That was our contingency fuel. So yeah, we're saving a ton of fuel basically, which is great. But yeah, so we're going to have to think about our step climb. So let's bring it up. I had a plan to go to... I did write it down somewhere. No, it's not there. I can show you guys. It's written here. At Comet, we're meant to go up to 360. So, what you would do... Seeing as we're already going there, it is 400 miles away though. This is the most basic flight plan ever. You click next to the point. So there's Comet. And then... okay. Hold on. Step outs, there it is, right. Comet, click on the right. So the left is sort of waypoint related, on the right is sort of restrictions related. So if I wanted to say out constraint, speed constraint, I can put those all in here. So go to comment, click on the right, and there's your step outs. Yeah, see, it's been a while. Now I can put in out and waypoint. So I want to go up from 340 to 360, and if we bring up the other MCDU, just to confuse everyone, there's a flight plan 1913 3.9, and what you would do is put in 360 and comet. There you go, 400 miles, 1745. And that's in there now. So it's going to have SC, step climb. So it has it marked there. And that's when it wants to climb. So it's going to get to comet at 1745. At 1745, we go from 340 to 360. Now, it's not made any impact on our fuel. I mean, it's only 2,000 feet for about half the flight, I think. So I wouldn't really expect it to have a huge impact. But yeah, that's something you would do. And it usually would reduce your fuel burn by climbing up. Now today, we could go straight up. If we look at our progress page, you see the recommended max is 377. So in the 321, you have to be careful. I wouldn't go up to flight level 370 now, unless it was perfectly smooth air, and you can never guarantee that. But the reason is that means our little coffin corner here would be getting smaller and smaller. It says optimum 361, so really we should go to 360. That would be best, and that should account for the wind. Something to notice, if you increase your cruise speed, let's put in cost next 50. In the real aircraft, this optimum and maximum would reduce if you increase your cruise speed. So actually it would say you're better off being a bit lower down. Now it doesn't seem to do that in the Toliss, but there you go. That's one of those performance things. But there we go. Leave it there. And away we go. Passengers happily moving around the cabin. Right, jumping back into the chat. Yes, Papa says, it's me behind you. Fantastic. We got Yes, Papa, I've been flying along. Adam says, for some reason I can't get on the Discord. Make sure to tick the verify part, Adam, for the Discord. Jeremy says, American VATSIM is a lot less serious than European VATSIM. We like joking around on frequency in the most professional way possible. Of course, if the airspace is busy, it can be very textbook. There you go. It's going to be a whole different world. Yeah, that's good to hear, though. Sounds like it should be friendly enough. GTA says, I'd love for there to be a 350 in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice. AK says, hello, how's your experience with IFR flights on Microsoft Flight Simulator compared to X-Plane 11 P3D? Would you recommend making the jump to Microsoft Flight Simulator yet, or stick with the older platforms for now? For airliner IFR flying, for now, it's got to be X-Plane or P3D, whichever you have, if you already have it. If you don't have it and you're thinking about what to do, then that's a bit trickier, because Microsoft Flight Simulator is improving, but there are still, especially lateral navigation. Lateral navigation seems to be a continuing problem in Microsoft Flight Simulator. But Aerosoft CRJ may solve some of that. We might find that the CRJ has a database and a flight plan mode that actually works really well, and we can actually use it a bit more reliably than we can at the moment in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So it's a tricky question. It's getting trickier. But yeah, if you already have X-Plane and you enjoy flying proper routes with the airliners, then for now it's X-Plane is still got the edge for me for the IFR flying. Doc Retro says, pity the needles aren't implemented in fly-by-wire NEO mod. They are to an extent implemented. They don't show up on all the pages they should do. So in nav mode, you can see I get my VOR needle to Jerez pointing behind us. But in the fly-by-wire mod, it doesn't. But you do get the needle in other pages, for example, in the VOR page, in the fly-by-wire mod, which is great, so you can use it. And yeah, I don't think it works on this page either, actually. I think, yeah, I see what you mean, yeah. I think the needle on this page doesn't work on the normal nav, I think. Keeps changing, though. Warrior Lad says, my MCDU just said no displayed nav aid. What's that? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Good question. Sorry. Akilesh says, it's not just the American VATSIM. I believe the airspace operates very differently. Do pilots require separate training to fly over the US? Nope. Nope. You'll need to know. So you'll have briefings. So your airline will have a briefing and so on. And you'll have guidance. But there's no need to to go into simulators or have a specialist training. As far as I'm aware, no airline does that. Giuseppe's Gaming says, I guess American VATSIM has a lot of Kennedy Steve wannabes. Oh yeah, I've seen those videos. That wouldn't be much fun. The only Millhouse likes flying in the US, pretty sure. Very good. Ryan says, what's likely to work on a laptop, Microsoft Flight Simulator or X-Plane 11? Well, more likely is X-Plane 11, but there's no guarantees with a laptop. It depends on your specs. You've got if you've got a really powerful laptop, you'd be fine. And there's probably laptops out there that can run Microsoft Flight Simulator quite well, but likewise, there'll be laptops that can't run X-Plane 11, so it would depend on the specifications. X-Plane 11 is easier to run, but as a general rule, though. Codeco says, how do you deal with ATC VATSIM for step climbs? Do you need to request climb? Yeah, we will. So what you'll see now is if I go to the MCDU flight plan and scroll along, there's my step climb there at Comet, and it's got a little arrow to show me it wants to go up. Now, if we don't do anything, I'll leave my FCU window at 340. What will happen is we'll get there and it will flash up a message saying step. I think it says step climb. Approaching step climb, something like that. Oh, good question. It will give us a little message to tell us we're getting near to a step climb. Then if we fly over the step climb and don't climb, it will say step out deleted, and it will just give up on it, and then it will re-predict everything based on what you've got. So yeah, you'd ask in advance, just ask air traffic. Now flying oceanic, you maybe request it through cell call or something. It's not something I'm overly familiar with. If you're doing a North Atlantic track and so on, you'll have a planned flight. I don't think you're allowed to just sort of cruise up and down like that. Kentish Embroidery says, I'd love to see a Piper Warrior PA-28 in the sim, as that's what I did my first solo in. I'm sure there'll be one coming. I know Just Flight have got a nice looking German Aviation. Is it an Arrow coming soon? So that's quite exciting as well. And the H1302 says, I enjoy American VATSIM, usually use a Clipper or Cactus call sign when I fly there. Yeah, Cactus is a good call sign, I like that. Clipper, is that Pan Am? I'm assuming. That would be quite fun, wouldn't it? That would be fun. Giuseppe's Gaming says, speaking of needles, nowadays when you're doing a VOR DME approach, you'd let the GPS final app mode do the lateral approach and use the needles only for reference and do the vertical. You can use final app to do the vertical and the lateral for a VOR approach these days, but you always have to have your needle displayed to some extent. Yeah, you need to know that that VOR is working if you're going to fly the VOR approach. So what you're not allowed to do is, let's say the VOR has gone offline. Well, the reality is you could still fly the VOR approach by just pressing approach and it would fly it. But without the VOR being there, that's not legal. You've got to have that VOR and that needle. But the reality is, yeah, you'd have the needle displayed like this, or even like on this page, and then you can see that you're tracking the right way, and you cross-check your altitudes anyway with the chart. But yeah, the reality is the airplane isn't using that; it's using the GPS. Now, having said that, remember the airplane has IRSs up here, and it can fix its position using DME, and so on. There we go. There's our position. So it's very accurate. So the aircraft could actually fly the VOR approach without the VOR and without GPS, and it would probably give it a pretty good go. But most places that's not actually allowed. Typically, you need to have GPS working to use Final App. You're very welcome, Codeco. Andy says, Pan Am 737-200 flight in America, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Maybe we'd start with like the A300 or 757. Maybe we'd start with one that, that I'm a bit more confident with. I say that. I'm probably more confident with the 737-200 than I am the Airbus A300. The A300 is a real, yeah, I find that one really difficult. Surprisingly, actually. Yeah, if you're enjoying the video, do please hit the like button. It makes a big difference to YouTube. YouTube is punishing us because we haven't uploaded the video for a few days. So so all the likes we get today will make a big difference to the YouTube's promotion of us and encouraging people to come and have a look. So yeah, thank you very much to those who have hit the like button, and if you are enjoying, do please consider pressing it for us. Giuseppe's Gaming says, thanks, guess the fly-by-wire, it still isn't able to do vertical on its own. Incidentally, Just Flight has both the arrow and the turbo arrow coming. Ah, there we go. So, yeah, the arrow from Just Flight, that does, I've seen some sort of previews of that. That does look good. That does look good. So that could be good fun to get into one of our group flights or something like that. Thank you. I can see some people have pressed like already. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Good stuff. Right. Oh, there's our colleague behind us. That looks like Yes Papa then. So we're all running on live time unusually today. So that gives us a 19:15 arrival. 4 tons of fuel. 17. 2 hours 15. 2 hours 25 to go. Seems like quite a long time. Probably because that arrival is nonsense. We're not going to do all of that. We'll get a sort of more direct routing as we get closer. You see the arrival takes us there and then back again and there. So what's nice is even with the discontinuity now, you get predictions, and that's true of the aircraft. That's how it works. It can predict for you even without a line. What it does is in its mind, it's drawing a line between these 2 points like that. So, you know, what I can do is, let's see, because if we put that in via, what was our arrival? Beacon, 1 November. No via. So if we skip out that point, still, even that's unrealistic. Saves us 100 kilos. It's 3 minutes. So you can see a big difference. So we'll work out what arrival we're doing a little bit later. Right. That's Faro. We're just passing over Faro. Heading out to sea soon. Exciting times. Funchal will be off to our left. We have been there on a stream. We did do that. I do like the look of these engines as well. Really nice. Corrosive Moon's going to have dinner. Enjoy. See you soon. Don't worry. You've got plenty of time. Alan says, any chance to produce a video explaining holding and how to use it with the FMC in Microsoft Flight Simulator A321X? Because I don't understand. I have a video on holding, Alan. If you go to my channel, there is a video there all about holding. It's one of my older videos, but it's how the Airbus holding works. I have... It's, you know, the A321X doesn't... Last time I flew it, didn't have the holding feature enabled properly yet. So it didn't actually fly the holds. It has the right pages there, but they don't actually fly the holds. So if you want to see how the Airbus works, that's it. That tutorial is applicable to the Airbus, so when it's added, that's how it should work. But for now, I don't think it's working in the A321X. I'll have to try it again, though. So the back is halfway over Botswana. Fantastic. 1 hour 45 left. Vati2, good afternoon. Thanks for coming along. I hope you're doing very well. Benit says, where are you flying? We're flying to the Azores. And we're flying specifically to Lima Papa Delta, which is Pope John Paul II Airport. So the reason it's called, obviously, Pope John Paul, or Pao Paulo II, is because he visited there. The Pope visited in 1991. And obviously it meant a lot, so they named the airport after him. And the new terminal was opened in 1995, and that's the name it's got. Or Ponto Delgado Aeroporto, because that's the airport, it's place it's serving. Hence Papa Delta, Lima Papa Delta. Let's get another flyby. I think it's flyby time. This is where the airplane's happiest. Up in the thin air. Nice and cold out there. Cruising along. Yes, Papa's going to catch up with us. I think what I'm going to do, let's increase that cost the next a bit. Let's go. 7.4 is a bit slow. Most pilots are uncomfortable when they see the speed tape look like this. Let's go. Let's try 25. What does that give us? 7.6. Yeah, let's do 7.6. Probably saves 10 minutes. Yeah, there we go. 10 minutes saved, just like that. How much fuel does that cost us? No fuel at all. There you go. Sometimes going from 0 to sort of 10 or 20 cost indexes can sometimes actually not make any difference to the fuel. And I have even seen it save fuel, which I don't quite understand. But yeah, sometimes being a bit slower just means you spend too long in the air. So there you go. So yes, Papa, we should stay just ahead of you now. But thanks for letting me know. So yeah, so we're heading out to the Azores. They're obviously a part of Portugal in a way, although they're autonomous. But they're volcanic islands, which is of no surprise. So volcanic islands tend to be quite pretty, but also come with the issue of having lots of terrain because they tend to rise quite steeply. Oh, sounds like we got a message. 12555. Fantastic. Didn't expect to get air traffic out here. But I suppose Portugal, quite a busy place. 12555. Oh. There we go.
Tango uniform, apologies, 10108 knots, runway 03, clear to land.
Thank you, clear land, runway 03, 117 uniform.
Runway 34 Mike, you're identified passing 1,800 feet. Climb flight level 340 and proceed direct to D. Climb 340, closing, cancel 34 Mike.
Centre, good afternoon, Manta 256, flight level 340 to Comet.
CMX 256, good afternoon, you're identified level 340.
There we go. They might separate us properly.
And Easy 61 Juliet Charlie, cancel the hold, clear for the RNP approach runway.
Santiago Perez says, haven't seen you in a while. Hopefully you had some more time flying for real. Yeah, took a bit of time off. Had a few things to do, work related, but sadly not flying. I haven't been flying for a while now. As I said, the UK is really there's not much flying to be had at the moment. Hopefully soon. I hope soon. Yeah, I really do. Kai says the hold feature does work in the A320X. I just tried it. Ooh, fantastic. Right, I need to go and give it a go. Matteo says, will you fly the A320 flight factor? I consider it. I didn't ever before because I used to play X-Plane on my laptop, which definitely couldn't run it. Certainly not while streaming. If people are interested enough, then it could definitely be something we do on this channel. But you know, it's not something I've seen much. People don't seem too hopeful for it, so I've avoided it for now. It's also quite an expensive add-on. Phil C says, do you have to activate approach mode in the FMC before the ILS becomes active in the PFD? I noticed recently that the purple diamonds do not automatically show up like they used to. No. Do you have to activate the approach mode in the FMC before the ILS becomes active in the PFD? No. You can activate the approach phase in the real aircraft anyway. They're not related. The ILS is tuned and it will see it. There is a difference. If you're flying a non-precision approach, you need to have that approach phase activated before you can arm that. Now, you want to have, obviously, the approach mode active before you try and join an ILS, certainly, but there's no order in which you need to do it like that. But generally, you know, before you get onto final approach, i.e. before you line up with the runway and get on the localizer, you should already have the approach phase activated. Usually the Airbus will plan to do it on base leg, something like that. Victor Tango, thanks for coming along. It's all going well. Glad to see you here. I hope you're doing well. And thanks for moderating.
Easy 957, descend level 320.
Descend into 320, Easy 957.
Fly Guy, good to see you. Fly Guy says, hope you're well. I really enjoyed your latest videos. Glad you enjoyed it. Thanks very much, Fly Guy. Really appreciate it. Hope you're doing well.
Dublin 205 below, set squawk 3245. 3245, squawk 4.
Yeah, Kai saying that the holding is working has really got me interested because I've been asked so many times So I can't even count how many times I've been asked how to hold in the A321X. So I did that needles tracking video because I wanted to get people used to the idea of tracking before we go and do holds. Holding manually raw data is a huge, really time-consuming thing that you can do. It's something you'll learn to do when you're learning to fly, but it basically makes one pilot have to focus entirely on that. The result of that is, in real life, you never... If you found yourself in an airplane that was so degraded that it couldn't fly a hold using the FMGC, what you'd really do is just say to air traffic, look, can you give me vectors while we sort this problem out? Because you want nice, long, straight legs where you can reduce the workload on the flight deck. To sit there flying raw data holds whilst having a technical problem is not ideal. Now, it may have to happen. It is possible. Terrain restrictions, things like that. And if that's the case, that's the case, and we could do it. But it's just something that you just never see. So anyway, so I was preparing to do that, but I'll have to have a look at the holding feature.
320 not available. Can you take 340?
Which version is that, Kai? Is that the dev version, the custom fly-by-wire, the custom autopilot? Oh no, Kai, what has happened? Doc Retro's going to try holding. Yeah, and that's it. We're on the investigation. And there we go. Giuseppe is saying there have been issues with auto tuning the ILS and Microsoft Flight Simulator, so make sure you have it tuned in RadNav. Yeah, okay, there you go. Oh, Kai. Is this going to be a disappointment? We're going to find out it's not working. Warrior says, I'd love to see more of the Anybuilds A300, my favourite aircraft on X-Plane 11. Right, I confess I need to fly the A300 as well. It's been too long. Yeah. Yeah. We'll feature that soon. I'll have to do that before I do the 7.5 or the 7.3 again. Oh, there you go. Kai says it was my autopilot being iffy and turning when I pressed hold. Right. Yeah. I mean, the holding feature is you know, it's quite an intense lateral navigation sort of thing. It's quite advanced. And the reality is, in Microsoft Flight Simulator, lateral navigation is so lacking. I imagine that's part of the problem. And I know that the fly-by-wire mod is basically using the default lateral navigation still. So it's going to take them time to upgrade everything. Piano says, what's your current estimated fuel on board? What's your alternate airport if Azores runway is unusable? Current fuel on board estimated is 4 tons when we get there, EFOB. Our alternate is, let's bring it up. Let's have a look at it. Not Malaga, thank you. No. So our alternate is Lima Papa Alpha Zulu. Oh no. There it is. Not bad. Not bad. Let's see what's available. So we've got an RLS and 2 VORs. And it is Santa Maria. Santa Maria, famous. Yeah, that's the centre, the HEC centre where they called out to aircraft heading down using Tango routes, I think it is. Yeah. And there you go, look at that. Tiny island, and there's the terrain, straight away 2,000 feet. So we're going to have 4 tons on board. It's going to take us a ton to get to Santa Maria. Not much at all. So we're going to arrive with a ton. So we could try twice at Lima Papa Delta. That would burn a ton. And then we'd have a ton to divert and a ton to try getting into Santa Maria. So there you go. Plenty. And that was using exactly the right amount of fuel for a CEO. So it shows you how the advantage that we get with these. Pretty thirsty though. We're quite heavy. 1,200 kilos aside at the moment. Pretty thirsty. Doc Retro says, I think I read the mod team is actually developing a new MCDU system where holding should be implemented. There you go. Yeah, that's it. I think that, you know, I've heard they're working with the working title. I know we've been saying that for a while, but yeah, they'll get to it. It's just, I can't imagine how hard it is, but very, I imagine. Louis says, hi Captain, what does activating the approach actually do? All that does is activating the approach in the MCDU, it tells the aircraft you're flying the approach. And its main difference is, if you're flying it on precision, it sets up a whole load of things there. But mainly, it means that if I was to I could do it now, activate the approach phase, and that speed target will go from there to green dots. And then when I put the flaps out, it would automatically drop to each flap stage until you're fully configured and it's at final lap speed. It does it all on its own. You don't have to adjust the speed yourself. So that's why you activate the approach phase. You tell the aircraft, right, I'm starting the approach now. I'm going to want to fly and slow down. If you don't activate it, the managed speed will stay up here, and I'll have to select the speed myself. Very important you have it activated on time. If you're flying down the ILS and you've forgotten to activate the approach, for example, let's say you're flying the approach like a busy airport, you're flying 160 knots, selected speed, because of course in managed speed, it won't necessarily target exactly 160. So you selected 160 knots. If you then forget about it and you come time to configure and land and you put managed speed up and you haven't activated the approach phase, it will just jump to 250 or whatever speed it was flying in the approach, sorry, in the MCDU. So you do have to be careful with it, but it does activate automatically 99 times out of 100 anyway, if you forget to do it.
Feedback is correct. Air Portugal 1862, descend 3,000 feet.
Yeah, as Dougal says, Kai got us excited for nothing. Amog says, hey, just joined. Where are we in the flight? Yeah, we're sort of pretty near the start, to be honest with you. Can't see our colleague. We're going to step climb in 240 miles. We're going to land in 1 hour 50. Maybe a bit less. We could save a bit more time on that. And we are here. Just coasting out, as they say. So from here, we're going to go back to Lisbon. Or Faro. As we get further out, we're going to have Funchal as an option.
Yes, that's affirmed. That should be the
I wonder.
One Echo.
No, you don't have it. There is an option in the real aircraft, unless I'm forgetting which page it's on, where you can see closest airports. But I don't think that's modelled. And that's quite useful, because you could be in this situation, you could draw yourself the circles around them. So let's go to, in fact, let's go to nav.
You're clear for the RNP approach.
What we could do, there's Faro. Actually, no, let's forget Faro, it's too far away. Let's put in Lisbon. And then we'll put in 200 miles.
And Air Portugal 1862, cancel the hold, cleared RNP approach runway.
And then we'll put in LPMA, Madeira. 200 miles. Not enough. Oh, I had a range. Not seen that before. I wonder if that's true. Can't see it yet. There it is. So that's 200. So if I put a ring around, let's put this one at 250 as well. There we go. So now I can start to judge which one's closer to some extent. And let's put in 250.
Scandinavian weight 074. Scandinavian weight 1087.
That just gives me a bit of an idea which is closest, which is furthest away. Oh, there is quite a gap though. There's definitely, that doesn't look right. How can that be? Oh yeah, I guess it is. No, yeah, there we go. So these are all things you can do. Otherwise, going out over water, you know, aside from E-tops, It's pretty... Oh, I forgot about this. I changed the water texture. I forgot that it does this grid thing. Oh well, can't see it at that angle so much. Yeah, otherwise, you know, these aircraft are... You know, you'd have to have all your flotation devices, so you can have life jackets, rafts to some extent for the infants and so on. There's all sorts of other requirements airlines will have to follow in this situation as we head out purely over water. But 321, quite capable, as we were saying earlier. They fly over the Pacific to the Hawaii, so it can be done. So Victor Tango, no, I don't think this did require ETOPS, but again, I've been very lazy and I have not quite worked out whether it would need it. Again, it would be incredibly obvious. No airline crew would ever not know whether they were ETOPS. The airplanes have to be certified for it as well. Very important that they are the correct machine. I've heard of cases where people have boarded the wrong airplane that isn't ETOPS certified, and that's taken very seriously. Your flight plan would have all sorts of markings as well, depending on your airline. But yeah, it would tell you if it was ETOPS. But the reality is, I mean, we're basically, if you think about it, we are... How far are we now? So we've got under 2 hours. So we've got, let's say, an hour and 40 to go. That gets us from here to the Azores. In that time, you know, so we're going to be within 250 miles pretty much of Madeira for most of that time. So it's just not that far. There's just enough options in this one, I think. But I don't know for sure.
Speedbird 6 to Alpha, when clear of the traffic, just taxiing behind, push and start approved, facing runway 05.
Richie Rose, if I didn't say hi, thanks for coming, Richie Rose. Are we there yet? Sadly not yet, but we're getting there. Flying with the A5 was fun. Checkpoint, good to see you, Checkpoint. If I didn't say hello, thanks for coming. Yeah, I think it could be nice to fly around the Azores. The Azores are quite spread out, so travel around them is often done sort of internally with air travel. It's quite common, from what I was reading anyway. So, so yeah. Victor says that would be a brown pants moment, boarding the wrong plane and realise it's not ETOPS certified. Yeah, it would. Well, you know, boarding might not be the problem, but the problem is if you set off and then have to explain. Yeah, I mean, ETOPS aircraft have extra certification, extra inspections, and so on. So that's why it's so important. Richie Ray said I was flying A5 around the Azores last night. There you go, very nice. Probably not in the A5 if we do it. We'll probably do it in something a little bit quicker. Thank you for your subscription to Akshan. Sorry it didn't show up. Our notification system seems to not bother like it should do, and I still haven't worked out why. Yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure why. Sorry guys. But yeah, thanks for your subscription. I hope you're doing well. And thank you all for the likes. Yeah, very good. Now, what is strange, you know, is that you'd get blue all over this ND. I don't know why. The Toliss, because it draws these squares of terrain, it doesn't show anything when you're over water, but I'd expect it to show all the blue. So you'd just be sat here like this, with just nothing in front of you, maximum range, and you've just got blue everywhere, which is a strange feeling, first time you do it. I haven't done it on this route, but I have been over water for other destinations. A bit of turbulence. Sadaka says, have you got any Wikipedia facts? Yeah, I do. So what else have we got? So as we said, the airport, Lima Papa Delta, is Pope John Paul II because he visited, so that's why they named it. But the terminal built in 1995. The Azores used dairy and fishing as big industry, but also obviously tourism is a big industry, hence the airport's being so useful. It's had a big base in history, being used as a stop-off point during the war as well, of course, given that it's so well strategically located, and that's why we're using it. And some of you will remember from Ice Pilots, which we talk about quite regularly as I'm watching it, that the cruise in Ice Pilots in one of the early series fly some CL-15 water bomber aircraft, and they stop off at Santa Maria on the way across. I think it's Santa Maria.
Project 6 Tango Delta is back.
Portugal 1862.
The airline, Azores Airlines, used to be SATA, but they have a fleet of A320s, A321 NEOs, which are going to be replaced, or you know, they're going to get A321 long range, which makes sense. So that's why we got the long range model today. Just got some extra fuel tanks, really, not much difference.
Subject 6 Tango Delta.
Subject 6 Tango Delta. Hello, welcome back.
LJ4 says the wind at Lima Papa Papa Delta are 190.13. Doesn't that mean runway 12 instead of runway 30? Yeah. Yeah, I could believe that. So that could be an RNAV. Good stuff. I don't know if we're going to have control or not, or we'll have to organise ourselves.
Portugal 449, proceed direct Papa Tango 405. Say again for Portugal 449.
Oh, there you go. Kevin says there was an incident. They flew a non-ETOPS certified plane from LA to Hawaii. Didn't realise until they got to Hawaii. Had to fly back without passengers there. Yeah, there you go. That's a bit embarrassing. These things happen. They do happen. Piano says, I'm following you in the 340. Currently doing Mach decimal 83 to catch up. I don't need to worry about ETOPS. Yeah, 340, no ETOPS concerns. And also faster. Long-haul aircraft tend to be faster. So they'll cruise higher and faster, which is why these 321s, NEOs, their pilots will probably prefer to be an actual long-haul aircraft just because it goes higher and faster. More option to get out of the turbulence. And less time spent in the air, I suppose. Stabaka says, have you looked at Paro Airport? That's a landing challenge right there. Yeah, I've looked at it. I must actually invest some time and have a deeper look at it. I think if it's one of the landing challenges, I think I had a go once. But yeah, people have mentioned it a few times. It's definitely on the list. Like I said, I think I've said before, I keep seeing it come up on YouTube. Get mentioned. One of those ones that things go through popularity. There was another one that I kept seeing recently. Was it Samos? There's this cycle of airports. The only Millhouse is a good question. I wonder if you find out that you're non-ETOPS during the flight, do you crack on anyway or divert? Yeah, so that is the question. That is the question. I suppose it would depend on where you are. Where's the closest airport? But whether you divert or carry on to your destination, tricky one. If you still had the option not to go over the water, that's probably the best plan there. But again, it'll be up to the crew on the day. Andy likes Ice Pilots as well. Absolutely agreed. Yeah, I haven't finished it though, so don't. No spoilers. But yeah, poor Arnie. Yeah, Arnie seemed like a very nice person in the early few seasons.
If you're able, join a right downwind runway 05.
Rishi Ray says you'd get pulled over by the airplane, please. Yeah. Can you imagine? Does happen. People get intercepted. Dougal says, I have to confess, I haven't flown X-Plane them for ages, getting called up with VFR and FS 2020. Yeah. Yeah, it is nice. I do enjoy the VFR and FS 2020 as well. Getting bounced around a little bit. Dougal runs the Simwings support. Let me get out their website, in fact. And it is in the description of the video. But Simwings support, they run a scheme. It's a bit of a community, and they basically, I've talked about it in previous streams. So sorry to the regular viewers who've heard this before, but yeah, Simwings support do a really nice thing. They help out somebody who can't get into flight simulation for whatever reason, whether it's financial or whatever else it is, and they help and they build a computer, get the hardware, get the software, put it all together, and send it over to a lucky. I don't want to say winner, but somebody who's been a big part of the community, and as you know, they're carefully chosen. So yeah, it's not just random. It's somebody who's been a part of the community but can't get into it for whatever reason. So they've had some news recently, which is that Simwings have just sent out their third successful candidate computer. It's gone to Libyan Pilot 01 in Canada, so that's being sent out now, which is a really nice thing. I think they're a YouTuber as well, actually, looking at the website. And if it sounds like something that could be applicable to you, that you're a part of the community but you've had trouble, because we know things are expensive in Flight Simulator land, especially over the last year or so, where computers are expensive and Flight Simulator accessories have gone up in price because there's so much demand. The good news is Simwings are opening for applications again over the next couple of days. I think in just under 4 days, three days. On Monday the 1st of March, I think they open. So if you'd like to apply, let me put the link in the description. There's the website, and they'll be opening for applications at some point on the 1st. If you're not, to get the exact timing of that, you can do that by joining their Discord and so on, or monitoring their website. But yeah, you'll be able to apply. Just a note: if you're under 18, you will need parent or guardian information right from the start of your application. But there you go. That's for those of you who haven't seen it, just to make you guys aware. They do a really nice thing over there at Simwings Support. Successful candidate, says Dougal. Yeah, successful candidate. That's sort of an aviation style phrase, or I suppose any sort of job phrase.
Break, Speedbird 6 to Alpha, the winds are 01017 knots, maximum 27 knots, runway 05, you're clear for takeoff. And Golf Alpha Romeo, descend to 4,000 feet, QNH 1.
Checkpoint says, I wish I was lucky enough to get that TC8 add-on or a 30 series GPU. First world problems. Yeah, exactly. I agree, Checkpoint. I can't get hold of the add-ons. I got lucky with my graphics card, certainly. Very lucky with that. I think at least, I mean, it wasn't long ago that none of us could get hold of the Thrustmaster TCA throttles. Like, they were impossible. And then suddenly there was that week where everyone was talking about it, because we all, I think everyone who wanted one at the time could get one. In the UK anyway, they became available suddenly, so that was good. You're welcome, Dougal. You're welcome. Thanks for all your work on it. Swiss Pilot says, have to leave the stream for the moment. Hope to see you later. Yeah, we'll be here. Cruising along. Step climb shortly, but otherwise, not much to do. Infinite Flight 2 says, for once, please fly an Infinite Flight. Unlikely Infinite Flight, sorry. I probably won't fly an Infinite Flight. I don't have any of the subscriptions or so on. I used to have it, but not the subscription. I do like Aerofly FS on mobile. Matt Olsen's off to walk the dog. Back for the approach and landing. See you, Matt. Thanks for coming along. Doc Retro, here we go. Here's the answer. Doc Retro says, defo no holding on the A321 mod. We still have some patience. Yeah, fair enough. Anthony got Airbus Stick 2. There you go, yeah. Tom says, what's your favourite sim? Favourite sim? Well, I'll say Microsoft Flight Simulator 98 was my favourite. But Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and X-Plane 11 are both good. There's some frustrations, obviously. We talked about it a lot, so I don't want to go over it too much. But X-Plane 11 and Microsoft, I like both of them. I really do. I've never used P3D. Really, I should say my favourite ever was FSX. I used FSX for so long, and I had lots of add-ons on it. Really liked it. Santiago says, did you find your 3080 at MSRP, or are stores over there overpriced? Oh, it was overpriced, but it wasn't madness. It was about normal sort of retail pricing for the graphics cards, yeah. But it's still priced higher than Nvidia's one when they said it was going to be, which is a shame. John managed to get my Thrustmaster thanks to a tip from this channel, so thanks, guys. Yeah, exactly, and me too. That's the only reason I got mine, was thanks to the people on this channel. I got lots of messages and emails. So if I didn't answer your email and you were letting me know about the Thrustmaster thing, thank you, and I do apologise. But yeah. Oh, Victor Tango says the side stick and throttles are in stock on Amazon UK. There you go. Thanks, Victor Tango. Giuseppe says, I finally managed to get the Thrustmaster Airbus stick and throttle. Got mine delivered today, but didn't have time to try them yet. Perfect, perfect. Yeah, you'll enjoy those, Giuseppe. What I will say is, you know, yeah, just a little bit of patience required when setting them up. Because you got to download the firmware, you got to calibrate them. So just follow the instructions that they give you with them. The only Millhouse is 750th in the queue for the 3080. Oh dear, the only Millhouse. 750. Depends which model you want. I know that some models are easy to get hold of. So I've got the Gigabyte Gaming Vision 3080 overclocked, I think, which seemed to be a less popular one. So slightly easy to get hold of, I must admit. I don't know if that's because it's made of white plastic, and so it looks slightly different to the other ones, but it fitted my PC. Stormy says, I got by accident 2 TCA add-ons. I'd be glad if I could send you the second one if you want. You got sent 2, did you? That's amazing. Well, that's a very kind offer. How on earth did they send? Did they send you 2? I can't believe that. Imagine that. The luck of that. Danny got the size because of the chat. Yeah, there you go. Flight Unlimited was a beast. I like Aerofly FS, I must say, the times I've used it, but I've not used it on PC. The Officer Pack is out of stock now on Amazon. There we go. Bruno says, wish we had those side stick and throttles in Brazil. Yeah, that's a shame. Dougal says, when I couldn't get a side stick, I bought the Thrustmaster HOTAS Warthog, so can't spend any more. Well, the Thrustmaster HOTAS Warthog joystick is excellent. It's excellent. Yeah, really nice. I really like the Warthog. Really like the Warthog, and I mean, if you're playing DCS at all, it's excellent. But it's just got a really nice weight to it. The only thing I wish the Warthog had is just dampening. I think dampening would be really nice. But aside from that, that's being fussy, to be honest. It says hi. Very nice streams. If you have time for this question, why does the aircraft not command toga MCT thrust after takeoff engine failure? Now, so I've been meaning to talk about this. I did my video, obviously, on engine failures after takeoff, and the reason I could do it is because I had rudder pedals available. Although, as I discovered while filming it, having a rudder trim switch would be even better, which is, you know, I was wondering why did they add the rudder trim to the TCA pack? It seemed like such a rarely used switch, but actually, for engine failures, you really do need it. But yeah, the most common question on that video, and I haven't got round to the comments on that yet, is why, if you have an engine failure on takeoff in the Airbus, why don't you go to toga? Why doesn't it command toga? Everyone seems really surprised that the airplane stays in flex. So I only mentioned it at one point in the video. I think I mentioned it out of, you know, it's like a 35-minute video, but there's a point where I just say, oh yeah, we'd stay at flex or whatever, but toga's available. And to me, that's just that's just how it is, and I've never really thought too hard about it because it's been like that for years now. But everyone was surprised by that, and I can see why. Why don't you just get maximum power? So the point is, the aircraft flex takeoff, everything done with these aircraft is a single engine. So our performance for the departure would be based on a single engine. So the idea is if the engine fails at the worst moment, which is V1, if it fails at that moment, will the airplane on one engine be able to climb away? So as routine with 2 engines, we are incredibly overpowered for most of the things we do, mostly. Innsbruck and so on being exceptions. If there is a reason that isn't the case, like Innsbruck, then there'll be other procedures to follow. But on a normal takeoff, you should be able to fly that SID on a single engine. That's what the airplane should be certified for, all other things being equal. So that means flex temperature works. Now, I don't know if that's true on all airplanes. There could be some airplanes where a D-rated takeoff, such as a flex takeoff, doesn't work. For example, the 787, that also uses very D-rated takeoffs, and I'm not sure about what it does in the case of an engine failure. I'm not sure if it adds a bit of thrust or not. But in the Airbus, we just don't have to. We're certified to do it. It will take off and it will climb away on one engine, even at flex. Why don't you just set toga? Well, if you were to say you have an engine failure so you have all that swing and everything, and then you suddenly add a whole load of extra thrust on that live engine. Firstly, you're working the live engine harder. Now, there's no reason that should be an issue, but it just works it harder, burns your fuel a bit quicker. But the main reason is you're just going to destabilize it a bit more. Now, it's totally possible. If you're not climbing very well, then it's there, and use it. If you're not sure, if you're concerned about the safety of the flight, use it, definitely. But my point in the video was it's just not required. You're certified. It will climb away. When I practice them in the simulator, I don't routinely use toga thrust. In fact, rarely, unless I was concerned. What you might do is go through the engine failure, as I show in my video, trim it out, get the autopilot in. Once the autopilot's in, if you're still unhappy, then use toga. If you've taken off and you're having trouble climbing, then use it straight away, of course. But yeah, anyway, it's just funny. I didn't think it was a big thing, but it makes sense, really. It's the thing people would be most interested in. Johannes B, thank you very much for your €10 donation. Really appreciate it. Johannes says, thank you very much for starting this amazing community. So much helpful information on the Discord. I'm happy to be part of it. Thank you very much, Johannes. Really appreciate it. Thank you for your €10 donation. Very kind of you. You're very welcome. And really, it's the community I need to thank as well, because yeah, the amount of effort, time, energy, and help people in this group have put in is really humbling and really nice. And I regularly get help off the community in many different ways. So it's definitely turned around as to how the flow of information goes. But yeah, thank you very much for your donation. Really appreciate it. Very kind of you, Johannes. Thank you. And yeah, thank you to everyone who does take part. And the Discord, again, I can't stress this enough. If you have a technical question, join the Discord. If it's about the simulator, if it's about add-ons, if it's about even the Airbus or other airliners, the Discord is full of great information. And I say that because if you send me an email, I probably won't get round to it, because I get quite a few emails. So for technical help and Airbus questions, put it on the Discord. You can always tag my name on the Discord and I'll see it. But usually, I mean, it just earlier today, I think someone was asking questions on the Discord, but even before I can answer it, someone else probably will. Checkpoint says, the climb with an engine out felt like watching climbing in slow motion. Oh yeah, it's slow. That first 1,000 feet on single engine is slow. You know, you're just looking for not sinking, basically. Just a bit of a climb. The percentages it's required to climb at are quite low. It's amazing. It's quite amazing. This is the AviTab, this tablet we've got here. AviTab. This is a free plugin, an amazing piece of work for X-Plane. I absolutely love it. Look at that. It just so seamless, works so nicely. Anyway, we're not going to LPAS, we're going to LPPD. So here we go. Someone said, what do we do about step climbs in this context? Well, we're going to ask air traffic. Thank you very much for your... is that Swiss francs? Thank you very much, Ernst Otto Fischer, for your 5 Swiss franc donation. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Ernst says, yes, Switzerland. Yes, I got it right, thankfully. Says, thank you very much for your answer and all your work. Really enjoy it. Greetings from Switzerland. Greetings to you in Switzerland, Ernst. Thank you so much. And thank you for contributing to the channel. And thank you for coming along. I really appreciate having you here as well. Piano Learner says, the danger of too much power on the good engine is that you increase the chance of a VMC roll if you don't watch your speed. So, important to note that you know, at V2, the airplane has enough rudder authority. There are aircraft that has what's called a blue line speed, which is effectively V2, where you've got to be going faster than that speed for enough air to be going over the rudder for you to be able to handle an engine failure. But in an Airbus and a modern certified airliner, V2 is that speed. You know, you'll be fine. Alexander Pasuto, good to see you. Alexander says, say the 757 much more flexible. Oh, I must have missed Alexander's first message. Yeah, Alexander's our resident Boeing pilot. Absolutely. Alexander's got the answers for that. Mr. Martin says, wouldn't the 5-minute time limit for toga still be in play even with one engine? No, when one engine is 10 minutes. Now, that's just a certification thing, really. The reality is, if you took off on 2 engines and you left them running at takeoff thrust for 10 minutes instead of 5 minutes, I don't think anything would happen. It's just, it's not certified for that. That's not the intention. But if you have an engine failure, then the certification allows you to have longer. Probably because the airplane would get a good inspection afterwards as well. Kyle Summers says, just joining the flight, 9:30 in Los Angeles. Oh, excellent. Yeah, so that is the downside of starting the stream slightly earlier, is that you guys in America are obviously not quite up yet. Just getting breakfast. Getting a bagel and orange juice in Los Angeles. Yeah, can't wait to be able to travel again.
Easy 100, request descent.
And Stebecca says, I've just put a screenshot in your Discord. Now it's sunset. There you go.
250.
Descent flight level 250, easy 100.
Frank says, are any of your aviator colleagues colorblind to any degree? Asking as someone who wishes they could, but knows they can't. Color blindness is an issue, but it depends on what sort of color blindness you have as to whether it is a real issue or not. So I don't know. It's not something you talk about generally. It could be. Thank you, 12280. Thanks for the control, Manta 256. Goodbye. Here we go. Unicom. Oh, well, that solves the step climb. There we go. Step now. There you go. I wasn't expecting that one. That was one of the few things I didn't say. Step now. So up we go. I'm just going to fly straight over it, and I'll just show you what it will say then. It should just delete it out. That's what I would actually, because I've wound it in, it probably won't now. Oh, let's just do it. Let's do it in managed. New cruise out 36. Thrust climb, climb. And up we go. And it updates this to 3.6 because we put it in as a step. Yes, Papa is below us and behind us, so that's working out fine. Dougal's having dinner. Enjoyed it. Dougal, thanks for coming along. Yes, Papa says, how are your winds? Mine are going crazy. Yeah, we've got 50 knots from the north, but it's shaking around a bit. Tom says, is there an A320 sim pilot livery from Microsoft Flight Simulator? There is indeed, Tom. If you go to the Discord, there's a link to it. Oh, is there a link to it? Oh, I'm not sure, actually. Really good point. There's our 1,000 feet to go. Now, there are actually 2 Manta liveries currently available for us. But only one of them I've used on the channel, so I'll send you that one. But there's another one we will feature soon. If I can get back to the chats. There you go. Mac out star. There we go. 360. Now, if it got any more turbulent, you don't want to go any higher than this. But as we said, optimum 365, so we're at our optimum. 3.8. So I'd even go up to 370 now, and I'd feel quite comfortable unless it got any more turbulent. But there you go, out cruise. Keep it going. Adam is practicing my landings in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Still be tuned in. Excellent. Yeah. Yeah, I need to open up Microsoft Flight Simulator as well. Get it updated. But yeah, talking about colour blindness, if I didn't finish what I was saying. So colour blindness is obviously, you know, PFDs and so on are all based on colour. Really important part of it because it's how we judge lots of things. So it's something that has to be definitely could be an issue, but whether it is would depend, I imagine, on exactly what form it is and so on. So yeah, speak to your local aviation authority for wherever you are in the world and see what they say. Speak to your you know, we have AMEs in the UK. I'm not sure what that stands for actually. Is it Aeromedical Examiner, something like that? Who are doctors specifically trained for aviation purposes, and they're the ones that can decide whether or not you're going to meet the criteria, or the Civil Aviation Authority does. But yeah, so you never know. People have flown with all sorts of different restrictions. Richie Reed says, is there another 100 gigabyte worth of update? No, the reason I say that is just because I haven't flown it in a while. Paddy says, once upon a time, looked at applying for an Aer Lingus cadet program, but backed out when I got the question, do you have any colour blindness? It's just red-green I have trouble with, but it's annoying. Yeah. Yeah, it's colour blindness is one of those things. Yeah. Yeah. But like I say, if it's not possible to get your class 1 medical, which would be to become a commercial pilot, then it could be possible to get a medical that lets you fly around general aviation or non-commercially, and it could also be possible to get a medical that allows you to fly, even if you can't do that, maybe with another pilot, things like that. There's all sorts of different ways to do it. Yeah, so those are some things. Ryan says, have you tried real head shake? It's free and works really well. Adds lots of realism into X-Plane, in my opinion. I have tried those, Ryan, but I got frustrated, I must confess, with being able to click on switches and so on, just because of the constant head movement. So I actually turned them off. Something I find as well is that although the head shakes, it's entirely my personal preference now. They're great. People have worked really hard on them. I really see why people like them, and I think they look great in videos. I just don't find for streaming. It doesn't suit me. It doesn't suit me personally. Dark Retro says the GB update of Microsoft Flight Simulator is really good on scenery. London now looks like London. There you go. I'll have to have a flight over. And it says, hi, what do you think about the recent UA328 incident? So if that is the 777 with the engine cowling, basically, I don't know. I don't know anything. Obviously, I'm sure the crew did a very professional and good job, given how it ended, which was they, came around and landed. It's a single engine sort of flight. Single engine is something that pilots, you'll spend most of your license check single engine. You have to practice everything single engine, because obviously 2 engines is easy by comparison. But yeah, the 777 is a very capable aeroplane, I'm sure, on 1 engine as well. But yeah, amazing footage. It was amazing footage. In terms of what actually happened, I couldn't possibly begin to speculate. Sometimes it takes years for reports like that to come out. I imagine it won't take so long on that incident, to be honest, to get the report. Daniel says, I think you're confusing track IR with head shake. No, I have tried some head shake ones where, you touch down and the camera wobbles and things like that. And I've seen some where they keep the horizon level, but that's not very realistic. That's not what you would do in real life. But it's probably, to be fair, my settings. I didn't tune it very well. George's FS Videos, thanks for coming along. George says, I flew to Ljubljana the other day. Loved it. Yeah, Ljubljana's really nice. Really, really pretty approach. Glad you liked it. Yes, Papa's got a GPWS. Well, hopefully that's not... yeah, I just checked it wasn't me that had that. Oh dear. Daniel says, head shake doesn't really affect your view most of the time, just on touchdown and in turbulence. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, maybe I'll have to give it another go. But, for example, now we're sitting in relatively reasonable turbulence, actually, bouncing around, so it would be a little bit frustrating. I don't have XP realistic yet. No. I'm waiting to see because I did see there's some other, and I've forgotten the name now. I've totally forgotten the name. I think Swappy sent it over. It mentioned about a new product coming out for X-Plane to increase the view. If that's what XP realistic is that a weather thing, or is or an outside thing, or is that an inside thing? But no, I don't have XP realistic. Rich Tango says another air crash investigation episode in the making. Yeah, probably is. Yeah. Ryan says, would you say that Toliss is worth purchasing even with the A321 mod? I get so frustrated with Microsoft Flight Simulator and still use X-Plane a lot. Loving the streams. Thank you very much, Ryan. Really appreciate it. It's just something you'll have to answer for yourself, I'm afraid. I really wish I could help. If I was coming along to do streams now and I wanted to use the Airbus or make videos with it, then I would still say the Toliss is worth it. It's often on sale. It does go on sale, so that could be one way around it. It's a shame because usually if I buy something, it goes on sale about a week later. That happened with the 737-200. But I already have the Toliss, so I can't give you that prediction this time round. But It is a really good product. They work really hard at updating it, and they have updated it several times. They've expanded it with the Neo, so you know it is a really nice product. But if you yeah, it's just, if you think you'd enjoy flying around like this, then it's a lovely machine to use. Adam says, can you do a stream where you fly to Gibraltar? We did fly to Gibraltar. I think was that in our Virgin Sun livery? I've got loads of great old classic liveries I found online. Frank says, should I be concerned that my aircraft is pitched slightly up in the cruise? No, they'd sit at around 2 degrees, 2.5 degrees is very normal in a 320 family aircraft in the cruise. Yeah. Swappy says, X Ambience Pro is weather, real view and XP Realistic is head shake. Ah, okay. No, I don't have it then. Definitely not. Kai says, landing into the circle to land LDDU. Have a lovely flight. Thank you very much. Enjoy. Thanks for coming along, Kai. George says, off camera, which nationality of ATC do you prefer? I couldn't possibly comment. Hack to Scratch Golf says, is the approach phase automatically activated or manually activated? It's going to be either. I could do it manually by pressing that, or in fact it should show it actually. Let's have a look through. Yeah, there it is. Let's zoom in. Flight plan. As we pass over, oh, where's it gone? As we pass over that magenta D, it will activate on its own. That's what that point's there for. So the flight factor A320 is going up in people's favour thanks to its new FPS update. Apparently it didn't run very well before, but now it does. I do like the 320, that's the thing. I do like the 320 a lot. Maybe we'll have to do that one day. James, this is more realistic than the fly-by-wire mod for Microsoft Flight Simulator. This has the right lateral navigation and so on. In terms of handling, the fly-by-wire mod is doing a great job though. The new autopilot and new custom fly-by-wire is so much better than the default one. So much better. I can't even believe it. Coming into landing, speed should be managed in the Airbus. Yeah, rarely selected by the time you're... I'm talking about final approach there. Fully configured, ready to land. Last 1,000 feet of the approach, managed speed. I've maybe once flown it selected for reasons like turbulence or something. Corrosive Moon says, are there any indications of wind shear other than the fluctuating airspeed? I've heard you could predict it from the TAS, but I'm not very sure. Yeah. Wind shear, wind shear, the airplane will say wind shear at you. That's a big giveaway. Other signs of wind shear would be any unusual sort of pitch or parameter in your primary flight display. So if I was sitting here now, I mean, wind shear at this altitude is a different sort of thing we're talking about. But let's imagine we're on final approach and we're flying along with 2.5 degrees pitch up, fully configured, ready to land. If I'm flying along, flying a 3 degree glide slope, but I'm not at 2.5 degrees pitch up, I'm at sort of 8 degrees, even for a couple of seconds, but I'm still descending, still doing 700 feet per minute. So all my other parameters are normal. I'm doing 700 feet per minute, but I've just got a really high pitch. Well, that's a sign of wind shear. That's a sign that the airplane's having to do something to maintain everything else, so the winds aren't quite right. The other big giveaway, I've never heard of comparing TAS, but basically what that probably means is looking at your wind vector. So if I see I'm on approach and I've got, I don't know, I had a 10 knot headwind and then I see that suddenly become a 20 knot tailwind, then that's a good sign of wind shear. In terms of predicting wind shear, that would be something like, let's say on the grounds there's a 10 knot headwind, but I'm on approach and I have a 10 knot tailwind. That means the wind has got to change by 20 knots by the time we touch down. So if you're at 500 feet and you've still got a 10 knot tailwind and you know there's a 10 knot headwind on the ground, that means there's 20 knots of wind shear going to happen. You're going to gain 20 knots of energy on final approach, which could make it really hard to land. Worse even would be the other way around. There's a 10 knot tailwind on landing and a 20 knot headwind on approach. That's 30 knots of energy you're going to lose. Luckily, the Airbus has ground speed mini, so it would actually account for that by keeping a higher airspeed. That's a really clever thing about ground speed mini. Although the Neos don't do it quite as much. They do less ground speed mini. They only do a third of the wind speed, not the full wind speed like the older aircraft do. Grocer Moon says, Flight Factor 320 after the update is much better. Still waiting for the update to the fixed page and the spaghetti drawings on the ND. If you add or delete waypoints, change approach or DME arcs. Yeah, okay, that's interesting because that's my biggest bugbear in Microsoft Flight Simulator is the way that, you delete waypoints and it just keeps leaving other lines in there and so on, and going direct to certain points can be really challenging. Take a lot of patience. Baltej says, any tips on how to get more FPS in the cockpit of the A321 in Microsoft Flight Simulator? I struggle to get over 35. Well, I mean, if you're getting 35 frames a second, that's probably better than I get in the A321, I must confess. I regularly am in the 20s in that add-on. I know that they optimization's coming later for it. Matt says, do you need to use manual thrust in Airbus during gusty approaches? Nope. Ground speed mini and the auto thrust will be absolutely fine. Daniel says, do your Thrustmaster quadrant throttles sync well when in manual thrust, or do they stay 45% off like in mine? I think they sync pretty well. Yeah, I can't say I had much issue. My only issue with these thrust levers is that the right-hand one doesn't quite line up with the left-hand one all the time, especially at idle, but otherwise it works. Frank says, why do aircraft show IS and not TAS? That's because your true airspeed is an irrelevant number when it comes to flying, because, as you'll see, the airplane's flying because of air pressure changes over the wing, obviously, which is based on how much air is flowing over it. So I'm moving through the air at 450 knots, but I'm not getting 450 knots worth of air over the wings. I'm getting much less than that. Hence, we show our indicated airspeed. This is the actual. Basically, this is a pitot that measures the pressure on the front of the airplane. So this is what's important. The fact that we're going faster because we're higher up is just a function of the physics of the planet. But yeah, we're going to stall based on this airspeed. Actually, you stall based on an angle of attack in reality, but that's a whole other topic. But yeah, so indicator is more important. For example, this is a bit extreme, but our flap limiting speed for flap 1 is 238 knots. That's because it's a NEO. 238 knots. That's indicated airspeed. That's another reason to have that shown here. So if we can put out flaps after 20,000 feet. Below 20,000 feet, we can use the flaps. So at 18,000 feet, 238 knots indicated is probably higher. It would be, I don't know what it would be, but it would be a higher true airspeed. It could be, 300 or something. But it doesn't matter because the actual pressure on the airplane, and therefore the pressure the flaps will feel, is only going to be based on the indicated. That's the actual pressure out there. Same reason why we show total air temperature at the top here. We can see the static air temperature, but the total air temperature is the actual temperature on the wings and the front of the wings. So that's going to be whether ice will build up or not depending on that temperature. So yeah, good question though. Very good question. Checkpoint says, have you tried the calibration mode of the throttle? Yes, they're calibrated, and I did the calibration mode, so thanks for the tip. But the reason is they don't actually sit in line when they're at idle. They're very close, close enough. It's not a real issue, and for flying it's totally fine. It's just something I notice. I can show you now, actually. If I put them to idle, see if I hold both thrust levers down, but you can just see that right one just starting to come to life a bit there. Anyway, let's re-engage that auto thrust. Lewis says there's custom FMS routing coming in the near future for A321 that includes discontinuities. Excellent. Now that's what I'd love that. That's going to make it so much easier to fly approaches and particularly use VATSIM. I'm almost tempted on my next Microsoft Flight Simulator stream to just do it in Microsoft Flight Simulator's own servers, and then people can just fly along and there's no air traffic. And that way we can just go where we want to go. Because it's just so hard to navigate laterally at the moment, isn't it? Victor is planning on flying the Flight Factor A320 now that I made the TCA stick and throttle work as I want. Yeah, and the TCA does work well when you get it all going. We are 342 from Destus, where lad. Yeah, we are. Getting there. I know, you're closer than us. Checkpoint says I usually just fly with the screwdriver stuck into the levers. Yeah, so you can align them like that. Yeah, that's true. That works as well. Good point. Oh yeah, sounds like the Flight Factor 320 is going up. I mean, I like Flight Factor's products. I like their 757. I like their 350. Guys, if we get to... thank you all for the likes. And if we get to 40,000 subscribers... I had to think there. I can't believe I'm saying 40,000. But if we get to 40,000 subscribers... we'll be doing another long-haul 350 flight. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's our current goal. It's good to set goals in YouTube land. Code Echo is going for tea. Enjoy. Thanks for coming along. I'm glad you enjoy the videos. Bye for now. See you next time. Sounds like progress is working well with fly-by-wire. That's really good. Yeah, I look forward to that. Right. I'm going to go for a quick break. And then we're going to get ourselves set up for our arrival. We are getting there. So we're on Unicom. So if you could please all monitor the airplane for me. Let me set it up appropriately. So... let me get rid of that for you. Okay. So just take a 5-minute break. We'll be back fairly soon. And we'll get set up and fly down into the Azores. Looking forward to it. Oh no, I've had this happen before. And I don't know why it does this. My timer program gets very unhappy. Okay, we'll just have to go with the music, I'm afraid. we are back. Thank you for sticking with it. I hope you are doing well. Santiago loves the song. Yeah, it's a great song. I hope the volume was correct. I've had to... I can't remember if I changed the volume in this profile. Right, there we go. So, we are now... How long are we? 3:30, 4:30, 5:36. 2.5 hours into the stream. No problem there. Cruising along. And we are getting closer. Almost time to head down. Sounds possibly like an RNAV sort of day, doesn't it? Corrosive says, any idea when is the next long haul? I'll tag along. Oh, wow. Excellent. Excellent. It was great. We had two people flew along with us the whole way. Let me just have a look at the channel. We are at... How many subscribers are we at? We're getting there. 37,854. 854. So 150... sorry, what am I talking about? 2,150 subscribers to go. So that is a lot of subscribers. So if we're... You know, there's no guarantee ever with YouTube, of course. But at the current rate, that's probably a few weeks away. A few weeks away. Maybe within a month. That would be very exciting. That would be us doing very well. But again, no guarantee. It could take us 6 months. It could take us a year. It could never happen. Who knows? You do not have to pay for the fly-by-wire in Microsoft Flight Simulator, Adam. No. College says, even the chemtrails are realistic in this game. Yeah, exactly. They are well ahead of the curve. Oh, there's the moon. Oh, nice. I should have left it like that. Somewhere there. There's got to be a good shot. A good thumbnail here somewhere. Chickpoint says, the music is amazing, but listening without the stream on just feels different. Yeah. Yeah, it's an atmosphere we create here. Tobacco's 6.5 hours into my flight. I finally heard someone else on Unicorn. Very good. John Wells says, I think I read somewhere if you're above flight level so-and-so, one pilot has to wear the oxygen mask. Is this true? Not on the Airbus? No, that's not true. That may be true on some aeroplanes that aren't certified to fly so high, but on the Airbus, certainly not. You can go up to flight level 390, which is our maximum, and you can both be sat there having a cup of tea. Absolutely fine. We have quick donning oxygen masks, so they're designed specifically to be quick and easy to put on in case you need them. So we're sort of getting past the point where I'd go to Madeira, and now we're carrying on to the Azores. With Aviation, thanks for coming along. It says just off to work. How's the stream going? I think it's going okay. I hope everyone's enjoying it. Just having a nice relaxing flight. It's yeah, I'm just working our way across the Atlantic. So Lima Papa Papa Delta, Ponta Delgada, 250 elevation, not bad. Winds there, 19013. Ooh, southerly, just past southerly. So yeah, interesting. Our arrival. What did I say? Back in 1 November. Beacon, 1 November, takes us in. You see it sort of puts us up at this side point, Sierra Mike 900, the initial approach fix. So, see that IAF, that's initial approach fix. We cannot go past the initial approach fix until air traffic tells us and we get clearance to do it. That's what that point is saying, initial approach fix. That's where the approaches start from. Not the stars, the approach. Now, sometimes there'll be a thing called a clearance limit. So, for example, it could be, it's not, but it could be Sierra Mike 904 is your clearance limit, and it will say clearance limit. In that case, that's where you have to stop. So there's always an initial approach fix, and then sometimes there'll be a clearance limit, which will override it. But if there's no clearance limit like this, then initial approach fix, that's where we have to hold until we can get cleared otherwise. Approach, please. So we got runway 30, runway 12. So 12 to 19 is 70 degrees off, so sounding like we're going to be onto runway 12. Now, which approach they would use? Good question. Should be RMP Zulu. Yeah, alright, Zulu. LNEF, there it is. However, there is an AR. The Yankees, let's see, let's compare them. Let's see which one we prefer. Remember, in Manta Airlines, we are certified to fly all the AR. AR is authorization required. We are authorized as required. most certainly, on this channel. So yeah, let's get ourselves set up for that. Randy says, do you have to pay for this plane? Yes, this is a X-Plane 11 add-on, so you got to pay for this one. Yeah. Brandon says, quick question about the deceleration warning in the FMA after takeoff. Any thoughts on why this happens? Deceleration warning in the FMA after takeoff. I'm not sure which one you're referring to. If you're talking about, you can get it on the PFD. Sometimes it says decelerate. I've seen that before, but that's a glitch in the Airbus actually as well. Right. Okay. So here's the RNAV Yankee authorization required. The reason it's authorization required is because of these turns, most likely. That is a really confusing chart. 1, 2, 3, 4. So these would be the vias, I'm imagining. What a bizarre chart. And what's the Zulu? Oh, we'll do that. Straight in, 880 minima. So this is going to have lower minima, I'm imagining. Yeah, 560. Right. So out of curiosity, I've never seen this before. Never seen this airport before. Let's have a go. Just fill the screen with boxes. So, sounding like we're going to use the RMP. Now, obviously, this will change because this is what happens on this channel. So that goes 508, and then in. So it must be the VIA that's going to change that. So we got petted 700, 800. There we go. So we're going to come in via the 900. Oh, so we could do this one quite easily. And it's no big deal. So that's the VIA, you see. So someone was asking earlier about VIA. It's VIA because of this, which point are we going to use? But again, the aircraft would have tied it up to the star, which it already knows is the Beck in 1 November. Beck in 1 November is going to finish at SM 900. So the aircraft in real life, if I then put in the RNAV 12 Yankee, it would automatically populate the VIA with the 900. It's really good actually. It's so rare to have to use it. So, well, let's give ourselves the better one. I can't see why not. Famous last words. So, 900s, 250, flight level 69. Then we're going to leave that. Track 277. Let's check this one carefully. You always check RNAVs very carefully. And we're going to curve round the island, which looks quite fun, really. The alternative would be we go... Well, we just do a straight leg. It's very similar. But no. No way, I want to fly around like that. That looks fun. So, there we go. SM 523, 230 knots. There's the 230 knots restriction. Then it's got decel. So it's drawn that decel point. That's where the approach phase will activate automatically. As I said, typically on base leg. Then we're going to go SM 520, which is the initial fix. That's the fix for the approach. And that says 2.8 SMA 1200. Let's have a look. .8 SMA 1200. I'm trying to work out what exactly they mean with this. I don't use Jefferson charts, and this is yeah, I'm curious. Who knows what that's saying? Answers in chat. There are a lot of stars on that chart. Yeah, it's so these are they all lead to the same final approach, which is the SM508 at 2,200 feet, max 185 knots. So 2,200 feet, SMA 508, which we've got here as well, SMA 508, and that's the actual final approach. And then it descends from there 3 degrees down to our minima, 560, RMP 0.1 required. That means the actual accuracy you require. It says 1 nautical mile. It's going to need to be 0.1 nautical miles up until 504. Which is 504 is there just after the approach, you see. So we need to keep that high accuracy into the go around, and then we can lose it as we head out here safer. Sarah Bellamy says, how do you know what VIA to use? So That's what I was saying earlier. So because my arrival, I just looked at my arrival. So my arrival is going to finish at SM 900 because I'm doing the Beck in 1 November. Because of that, when I pull up the chart for the RNAV, I could see that it's via SM 900. So when we selected the approach, via SM 900, because that's the point I'm using. It had some other options, but they were these ones, 800, 700, not ones that we could use. Checkpoint says, what kind of charts are used in real aviation? So these, not these exact ones, obviously, but Jeppesen charts are used, and they look like this, and there are plenty of pilots use them, and I have used them at some point in the past, but not anymore. The thing to remember with charts is that you get this information on the actual chart, but also there's loads of information in the manuals that comes with it, effectively, to help you convert it. So, yeah, there you go. Oh, well. Yeah, 2.8 SMA 1200. I'm surprised by that. Has anyone worked it out? 2.8 is the distance between SM 520 and SM 510. Yeah, okay, so 2.8, 520 and 510, which is normal. So they always show the distance, 17.5, but then when they can't fit them, they write them on. So 2.8. Why does it say SMA 1200? But yeah, thanks for that. Yeah. So there we go. We solved one of them. So it goes, that's 2.8 mile leg, that's a 2.2 mile leg. Yeah, makes sense. There we go. Oh, well, doesn't matter. We're not going to be at 1,200 feet. So I know it's not that. We're going to be at 2,200 feet, mandatory for the final approach. So the thing that is missing here is that it should show us the angle. One of these waypoints is called the final descent point in the Airbus. It's only one of these waypoints. It may not be the final approach fix. The final approach fix is SM 508. That's where we need to start down at 3 degrees. So by that point, I need to have armed approach. It's important that you don't miss out the point that is where the final descent point is planned from. Now, it could be the point before. Sometimes it's this point, the 510, and it would show you in the real aircraft underneath here. It would give you the angle. It's just not shown in the. It's not shown in the Toliss yet, sadly. I don't know if it's going to be added either. Sven says the start is given by ATC. Yeah, ATC will give you the exact star. We're just guessing here based on what we flight planned. Justine, grab it. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. Lido is also a provider for charts. Exactly, yeah. Lido is another brand of charts. Real pilots get Navigraph subscription and have the luxury of up-to-date AirX cycle. Yeah, yeah, exactly. SMA is the segment minimum altitude. Lowest altitude between the 2 points. Right, okay. See, segment minimum altitude is a... this is what I mean. The charts companies will use their own criteria. MSA, SSA, SMA. There's loads of different names for it. I'm just a little surprised to see them reference it. I mean, to have a minimum of 1200 when we actually have an absolute mandatory 2.2 seems a little surprising. But yeah, that could well be it. Anyway, there we go. So, round the turn. It's all coded in. We're going to get to SM 508. By that point, it wants to be at 146, 2,200 feet, which is correct. So we could do this pretty much managed, actually. Let's see what happens. I'll try and do it managed. And then smoothly fly around the island, fully configure as we start down, really. Now, we're going to use final lap for this RNAV. We could configure as we're down the slope. What I'm going to be is flap 2, and then as soon as we leave 2,200 feet, we'll go gear down and configure the rest of it. Don't want to make it more difficult. Then it's straight in. Caution, visual segment surface penetrated. So what it's saying there, I imagine, is all these obstacles. So straight in, obstacles on our left to land on runway 12. If we go around, it's all coded in here. SM 504, 502, just make a right turn. So we'll go around flaps, move the thrust levers to toga, bring those flaps in one stage, positive climb, gear up. Then we need to make sure we push this button to get nav as we head out and make our right turn out to sea. Big picture is right turn to sea. Get over the sea. And 120, 2.5. Yeah, 120 degrees, 2.5 miles away. That one makes sense. Yeah. And off we go. Good stuff. Yeah, looks like a nice approach. There's the go around there. Climb to 4,500 feet in the event of a go around. So we looked through the flight plan. We looked through that. Let's go to the RadNav. Nothing to tune here. It's all done on GPS and position. Progress page, we have GPS primary, so that is going to be required for this. Accuracy is high, also going to need to be required as high, so that's good. You can see that our estimated accuracy is 0.05, and we need it to be 0.1, so pretty good, pretty good. I'm going to put it in the threshold. for landing. So Lima Papa Papa Delta, landing runway 12. Now I'm hoping we'll get this. No doubt they'll change that. So we'll brief the other one in a second. So Lima Papa Papa Delta, runway 12 for arrival. That way I can count or judge the distances carefully to make sure I know how far I am from the runway. Performance then. Oh yeah, definitely 18, even better. So QNH 1032, temperature 14, wind 18011. Still nice and daylight out there. And let's put it in our minima. 560, 301 feet. I mean, that's mad, isn't it? So a normal Category 1 ILS is 200 feet above the runway. This one is 300 feet. So with no radio nav aid at all, think how much money that saves the airport without having to maintain an ILS. And we get to do this wacky approach where we fly around the island and so on, and we get all of that. It doesn't have to worry about distortion and maintenance and so on. It's just based on our navigation. It gives us 300 feet. The downside is if something broke on our aeroplane, like we lost some sort of navigational accuracy, there's less ability for us to get into this airport on that lower minima. But there we go. So we are super accurate. We're working on. If it gets worse, I might have to downgrade to this one, 650. Cat C. We are a Cat C airplane. I imagine though the 321 long range may possibly be a Cat D airplane, because I imagine some of its final approach speeds could be pretty high when it's fully loaded. Lydia says, thanks for the great stream. As always, last week I was flying to the Azores in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Landing was very difficult due to strong crosswinds. In real life, is this a particularly difficult airport to fly to? Thanks, Lydia. Really appreciate it. And I'm sorry to say, I've never been, and I haven't heard of it. It's not, it's not a destination I know much about, I must admit. I mean, Madeira is famous for having the winds and being challenging, so I imagine they could be. The reason I say I imagine they could be is, for example, today we've got a fairly strong southerly wind, so they're out in the ocean. Oh yeah, Wikipedia facts for you. Quite mild climate in the Azores, considering how north they are. Remember, they're quite north of Funchal. The reason is it's affected by the Gulf Stream, which helps it, but also, if you look, it's just so out in the water. Water doesn't change temperature as quickly as land. So overnight, the land will cool down quicker than the water does. So areas surrounded by water tend to stay a little bit milder. Now, I'm not obviously talking about the North Pole, but yeah, it stays a bit more mild, and the Gulf Stream helps it. So Ponta Delgada, there it is. That's our one. Oh. So islands like this that just stick out. We have this terrain here. So if there was a northerly wind, this would be really challenging, because that is a massive great hill, 2,900 feet, and we're basically at sea level, a couple of hundred feet. That is a huge hill to have right next to you. So if you were landing, let's say we were coming in onto this runway, and you were landing, coming in from the, you're coming in on northwesterly, and the wind was from the north. My goodness, that would be turbulent. That would be really turbulent. There may even be charts about it. They often, places like Gibraltar have special charts to talk about that. No, maybe not. Maybe not too worried. Backtrack for aircraft above 80 tons. Only allowed on turning bays. Oh yeah, okay, fair enough. So we'll have to put a bit of spacing if we're going to have to backtrack, which we will, most likely. 2,300 meters, so medium water brake, flat full, max reverse. Probably don't need max reverse unless it's wet, but yeah, I'm going to use it anyway. And we're going to have to come back to this one. So you'd land, and then they don't want you turning on the runway. The reason for that is some parts of the runway aren't designed to handle the strain of that little nose wheel digging in and turning. Because think about it, that nose wheel is going to turn 74 tons of metal, and well, a bit less by the time we get there. But yeah, so it can dig up the runway. It can loosen the surface. So the turning bays are designed for it, and also they're not as valuable. They're easier to replace. Aircraft only use the turning bays at slow speed, so it doesn't matter if they make a bit more mess on them. Whereas the runway obviously is used at high speed. But there we go. So it looks like we're going to have to backtrack all the way up to the west apron, and then we'll squeeze on there. So that's going to be inconvenient. So we need to leave lots of space between ourselves. Don't think we have a controller. No controllers out here at all. Manta 375 is already descending, doing the Beckham 1 November runway 12. So I'll be alright because I've got 30 miles. The question is, will Yes Papa and our colleagues behind be alright? That is the question. I'm going to create a bit of space. That's what we'll do. Let's go cost the next 60. That's made no difference at all. There we go. Now it's nice and smooth. I'll be a bit happier sitting closer to that target speed. So let's increase the speed. That would have cost us a bit of fuel. Oh, well, we're still saving so much fuel. But this way we can get a bit of space between us and our colleagues behind. Right, jumping into the chat. I do apologise. Richie Ray says there is a law for flare. Yeah, there is a different control law for the flare. In 321 NEOs, I don't think in the Toliss to be honest, but in the real aircraft there's even another control law which is different from the normal 320 flare law. Yeah. 8455, good to see you. Creator of the other livery, soon to come, or soon to be used on the channel. Says the winds are crazy in the winter coming off the sea. I was aboard a Porter Q400 and we landed in 80 km/h winds with 120 km/h gusts. Props to the pilots that day. My goodness, yeah, that is rough. That is really rough. Yeah. Mateo, good to see you. Thanks for coming along. Mateo says, apologies for the absence, but I had furniture collection duties at IKEA this afternoon. Now the assembly starts. No problem at all, Mateo. Thanks for coming along and moderating. And yeah, fantastic. Hope your furniture goes well. Can we see our colleagues behind us? Can be hard to spot. Nope. Nope, can't see them. But yeah, no problem at all, Mateo. Chickpoint says we call a 2,868 foot a mountain where I come from. Yeah, I suppose. Is it a mountain? I wonder. There's probably a definition somewhere. Could be a pretty serious descent. Adam says, when are we beginning descent? Soon. 80 miles to go. Top of descent's at 18:38, so 10 minutes. 10 minutes, not bad. Check through our systems. Again, you're looking, but you'd get an ECAM or an advisory, an ADV message to tell you if there's something was starting to go wrong. Certainly a fuel check is a good idea. 4.8 plus 5.8, so that is 9.8, 10.6. We started with 10.7, so that's about right. So we're burning evenly, the numbers all add up, and we got plenty of fuel when we arrived, so all as expected. I don't know if the Toliss can do fuel leaks, but that would be a really miserable thing if it did that on this flight. Oh yeah, new cruise, get rid of that. Great stuff, great stuff. Yeah, I like these long flights. These are nice. This is where, 321s feel like they're made for longer flights. 319s and 320s maybe for the sort of medium stuff. I know that's not true. They're all made for the same sort of stuff, but get this idea in your minds. Massimo says the 321 Toliss is also well done for the simulation of emergencies. Absolutely, I agree with that. What do you think of the competition? As for A320 fly-by-wire, what do you expect in the future? I think A320 fly-by-wire will keep improving. Looking forward, especially as we said earlier, to their lateral navigation improvements. As for the competition like Flight Factor, I've not tried it, I'm afraid. I really should. I really should. Jeff's dad says, winds go up to 65 knots gusts on some days in the Azores. Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. What's Matteo bought from IKEA? Matteo's got a bathroom, vanity, set of drawers and sink. Should be pretty easy. 2 weeks of assembly at most for the 5,630 pieces it came in. Yeah. Yeah. Chickpoint says our tallest mountain is 656 feet, so we call something really fast in here. That's pretty small. Phil C is asking about the smoke trails. Those are, this is X-Plane 11. That's why we have the smoke, or it's not smoke at all. It's the contrails, condensation. Yeah. So yeah, this is X-Plane 11, I'm afraid. Different simulator. Liam says, if you could, what would you improve about the Toliss? Good question. It's, you know, well, one thing, I'd like to see the angle for the RNAVs. The RNAV coding in here is very good, but if they could just show that angle that it's going to plan, because it must be in there. Now I say this, I can appreciate that the developers must get so frustrated because probably there's some obvious reason why it's not that simple. But anyway, the angle, so I'd like it to say the angle for the RNAV at the final descent point so I could work it out properly. Aside from that, you know, things I did want to see with it were the NEO mod, which they've done a great job of. I suppose I want rotate law. I'd like to see rotate law added to the NEO mod. They added soft go-arounds, which is amazing, so they are working really hard. But if we could have rotate law, I don't know if that's in the works or not. Otherwise, it's great. They added loads of things like the VDEV and having the level off arrows in vertical speed for the descent and so on. That was all missing, and that's all been added. So they've done a fantastic job, really. My favourite thing about the Toliss continues to be the interaction with the FCU using a mouse. It is just great. It's so easy to do, and it really upsets me when I go into Microsoft Flight Simulator and I have to try and select the speed or the heading. It's so difficult compared to the Toliss. The Toliss is easily the best one out there. It's so fluid and easy to use and so clear with the 1 and 2 dots. And you wouldn't have thought it would be. When I was reading the manual when I first got this, I thought 1 and 2 dots, what am I going to know and stuff? But it just works. It just works so nicely. Really good. Martin Skov. Good to see you, Martin. Martin says, I'm from Denmark. Any terrain above 1 meter requires rock climbing equipment. Yeah, there you go. That's how Copenhagen does it, or Denmark does it. Might put the weather radar on our other side. Oh, that should be on. There we go. Tilt that down. Weather and turbulence. Leave it calibrated. Again, this is not an appropriate weather radar for a NEO aeroplane. I don't think any would come fitted with that. Alexander Pasuto is back, thinking of flying the 350 anytime soon. Maybe back to Heathrow for the Maldives, and I'll follow in the PND 777 I bought with P3D while I'm at home. Well, as we were saying earlier, 40,000 subscribers, Alexander. So when we get to 40,000, we'll do another long haul. We're hoping that could be within the next month, but it could not be. It could be years away. Who knows? But yeah. So if we get to 40,000, we'll do another live stream in the 350. We won't go back to Heathrow from the Maldives. We'll probably go. I haven't decided yet. I haven't decided where we'll go. We'll probably leave the Maldives and fly it further east. Maybe I'm thinking Australia, get to New Zealand, something like that. That would be fun. Kyle says, do you fly any other planes for fun? In real life, no, sadly not. It's an expensive hobby, and my license to fly them doesn't exist anymore. You don't keep your privilege to fly small aircraft just because you're an airline pilot. You have to be. You could get it back relatively easily, to be honest, but it's an expense, and then you've got to keep it active, which is not something I'm able to do at the moment, obviously. But yeah, so it's not something at the moment. One day I would like to. I do enjoy general aviation, and I miss it. I miss it a lot. Sydney, Andy wants Sydney. Yeah, Sydney or maybe Melbourne. Yeah, that would be nice. Simon says, buttons on FS 2020 are so awkward, especially when they change from hand to stupid arrow. Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't think the flight simulator system is terrible. I just think this Toliss one is exceptionally good. My biggest problem with the flight simulator one is the way that the numbers don't turn. So it takes ages to scroll through on some of them, and yet other ones seem to move in lumps of 10 degrees at the moment, and I don't fully understand why. I don't think it used to be like that when it first came out. But anyway, are we catching our friends in front now? It seems to be getting close to even spacing. So we should finish this. So we've got to do our little hat to set up for the approach. We've done flight plan. We've done RadNav. Done the cruise progress page. Perf. Need to finish that. So there's our minima. Config full landing for sure on that runway. And there we go. we need to put our minima in. Not minimum, what am I talking about? I'll go around altitude 4,500. See, a few days off. Need to ease back in. 4,500 if we go around. Let's have a look at the other approach. If we need it, we'll go to SM452. So, yeah, so we've done perf. Fuel, by the way, 2.1 tonnes. So a tonne of messing around here, and then we divert, and we still have a tonne spare. Let's copy the active. And in the secondary, what I might do is put in the other one. So the secondary perf will be copied across because I've copied the active now, having already filled in the perf. So you see it's all ready to go. Secondary is a really complete thing at the moment. So let's go to secondary. Let's go to secondary flight plan. Let's change the arrival. We'll do the RNAV 12 Zulu via Beckham 1 November, and the approach via for that one will be SM452. And if we go to plan, we will get to see that there. Although it should even draw the line. It should draw a white line between them. Lydia, thank you very much for your €5.49 donation. Really appreciate it, Lydia. Lydia says, thanks for the great entertainment. We really enjoy watching you fly. We learn so much from your videos and streams. That's really kind of you, Lydia. Thank you so much. Thank you for the donation. Really appreciate it. And thank you for coming along and your kind words. Yeah, it means the world to me. It's so nice that people are still enjoying it. You know, I didn't know, when I started this channel, I didn't know that I could still be doing it almost a year later and people would still be enjoying it. So that's really nice. But thank you very much for your donation as well. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Lydia. So yeah, let's insert that. Now, so in the real aircraft, this would all be white. It is white down here, you see, not that yellow line. But it also doesn't need me to confirm the insert. It would actually just do it. That's just the secondary. But there you go. Now it shows us. So that is the alternative approach. And it's just sitting there ready to go. There's a discontinuity from 900 to 452. So presumably radar vectors. But I would be quite happy to fly that in a straight line because we know the mountain is beneath us. Or south of us, I should say. But if we have to fly this approach, if air traffic suddenly springs online, there you go. All very similar. The descent is going to start at 455 from 2,200 feet, 3 degrees. There we go. Higher minima required. So I can go secondary, perf, and I can have it all set up and ready to go. Look at this. So 880 for this one. Otherwise, that's all the same. Go in altitude in the secondary, 45. Magic. Oh no, I didn't mean to do that. The go around. There you go. Now it all starts to make sense why these approaches are formatted like this. So here's the RNAV AR, and I was thinking, well, what's so special? Why is the minima lower on this one? Because, you know, the terrain's off here. You're doing the terrain at this point on both of these approaches. But here's one thing. This is offset to keep you away from the coast, which actually has lights, although probably not in my scenery. So that's there to keep you away from the side. So it's at a slightly offset angle. Whereas the RNAV AR, because it's slightly more precise, allows us to fly pretty much straight in. 119. What is the actual runway? It is 120. So it's a straight in RNAV. Great. The other thing is the go around. The reason the minima seems to be lower is because we, for this one, have to have a high rate of accuracy to fly along the runway and then make our right turn. For this one, because we don't fly down the runway, we just make the right turn straight away. It's not such an issue. Remember what I said earlier? This is all based on single engine. So you can see that if we were single engine, as we saw earlier, there's a real problem here of having these obstacles. So that's why this one needs special requirements, because we're going to have to fly closer to that terrain, closer to these obstacles for the go around as well. Whereas with this one, we fly further away, and if we go around, we turn straight away. But that's why the minimum's higher, I'm assuming, because we're going to make the turn before the obstacles, which are all over here. We have to decide and go around earlier than that. Justin says, how many hours per year do you need to keep your pilot's license? That's a really good question. In airline flying, I'm not sure. Like, the one I'm talking about for private flying it's not many. It's a few hours a month that you'd have to do. I think I really don't know the numbers. I'd have to look it up. It's not many at all, but it's, you know, it's expensive when you think you have to pay hundreds of pounds to do that. In airline flying, it's more limited by your operational recency, so your landings and takeoffs and so on. But goodness me, yeah. If there's an hours requirement, I don't know. Right, there we go then. So we're not doing that one. We're planning on this one. And that should be a little bit slicker around the islands. Good stuff. Right fuel, secondary. So we've done all that. That's all now set up. So we set up the MCDU. Let's just think finally then about how we're going to fly this. So, as I said, this turn, and we can see on the MCDU exactly what it plans to be. From 523, we're going to be 4,900 feet. That seems fine. 230 knots and reducing because of the speed limit. So that's all fine. So I'm going to leave all that fully managed. Could be a bit of a tailwind because the wind seems to be from the north, although it's going to swing around. We know it's from the south when we get there, so that's going to be quite a change in wind. There we go. And then round we come, and I'm thinking flat 2, as I said earlier, 160 knots is a maximum, but probably just manage speed, and then put out flat 2 shortly before we reach this point. Flat 2 as we start down, gear down, flat 3, flat 4. If we then are visual, once we can go autopilot off, flight directors off, bird on, set that runway track, which in this case is 120 degrees. Now the real aircraft these days, and to fly an RMPAR approach, I'm fairly sure it would be fitted with the later version. Now the Toliss doesn't do this yet, so this is another thing that might be nice, I suppose. In the Toliss, the automatics will turn off and the flight directors will become useless after around 400 feet above the ground. In the real aircraft now, you could have that showing you good information all the way to the threshold, basically. It's really clever. And that is something that even the older Airbuses have added in the updates. You know, airlines can update them. But this one doesn't do that, so we're going to have to do the old-fashioned thing of turn off the autopilot, turn off the flight directors, bring up the bird. Because we won't be following the flight directors, they'll just revert to heading and vertical speed, which will be useless, and therefore we won't follow it, and therefore we have to turn them off. You'll remember in the Airbus, we do not ignore the flight directors, we turn them off if we're not using them. Liam Adamson, thank you very much, Liam, for your £4.99 donation. Really kind of you, Liam. Liam says, love your videos, mate, even if they're a slight distraction from my thesis. Would love to see you do the Manchester Heathrow shuttle hops. Thank you, Liam. Really appreciate it. Very kind of you. Thanks for saying so, and thanks for donating towards the channel. Yeah, Manchester Heathrow, we could do that. We could do that. Why not? Maybe that's something we'll do. Maybe we'll do like a 4-sector day, but on a really short sector. That would keep me busy. But thank you very much, Liam, for the donation. Really appreciate it. Yes, Papa says approach for Lima Papa Papa Delta just got on. There we go. We might find ourselves holding. And here's our top of descent. Well, we are safe. Thrust idle des. We are safe with the terrain out here. We know we're over the water. We know the island's at 3,000 feet. There we go. Down we go. But yeah, thank you very much, Liam. So that's good. Yeah, we got to control it online. Excellent. Croso Moon is back. I hope you enjoyed dinner, Croso Moon. And Swiss Pilot is back. So far, no other faults, thankfully. Coppermine says, is there a way to donate without throwing a big chunk of it into Google's mouth? Some way of a direct donation? Yeah, Coppermine, thank you. That's a really good point. I'm planning to set up the Streamlabs way, which I think will stop that happening if I'm informed correctly. But yeah, thank you for considering it, definitely. And yeah, I must get that set up. Justin says, thank you. I can check for private pilot, but I was thinking of all the COVID laid off commercial pilots if it would create problems later. Yes, the COVID pilots will have to keep going into the simulator to do some landings. Landings are the bigger problem in airline flying typically. Because if you think about it, in one flight you'll do your 2 hours. So they will have to be kept recent. It's called recency. So 3 in 90 is the UK and therefore EASA recency as well for now. So that is 3 takeoffs and landings within 90 days where you're flying the aircraft yourself. Yeah. So that is something that would have to be met by going into a simulator. Bruno says, would you someday do a Santo Dumont landing airport in Rio de Janeiro with a 4,341 foot runway? Yeah, definitely. Rio would be good. And I want to go to New Zealand as well. I've had a really nice email from somebody which gives a really nice talk about that. And I've also been sent some really great information on Kai Tak. So yeah, stretching our wings. That's the plan. That's why we're going somewhere we haven't been before today. But I'm just warming up here because I, as I said, had a bit of time off. 1194, here we go. It's about at this point in the long flight in the Airbus that your feet get really, really cold. I'm just saying that because my feet are getting cold here at home. Is there an ATIS? There's an ATIS. They are RMP approach.
enough altitude to start the approach, or you want to start the approach, or you want a little bit of vectoring to lose altitude?
We've got
Yeah,
information.
if you could vector us to lose altitude, that'd be great.
Lima.
Alpha Quebec Whiskey Alpha.
It says
Alpha Quebec Whiskey Alpha, caution flying.
Zulu expects RMP approach. Well, I'm going to request the Yankee.
Fly heading 280, Alpha Quebec Whiskey Alpha.
Control, good evening, Manta 256, descending flight level 100 to Sierra Mike 904, 321 NEO with Lima.
That is 256, Ponte Delgada approach identified. Continuation to flight level 190, information Lima is current. Expect RNT Zulu approach, runway 12.
Descend flight level 190, expecting the RNP Zulu runway 12. Can we request the RNP Yankee runway 12, please? Manta 256.
Manta 256, Roger. In that case, flight direct Sierra Mike 900.
Thank you, direct Sierra Mike 900, Manta 256.
Manta 256, speed during descent 250 knots maximum.
250 knots in the descent, Manta 256. And just to confirm, we're descending flight level 190.
Affirm, you can now continue descent to flight level 180.
Descend flight 180, thank you, Manta 256. Okay, controllers all over it. So there we go, that's nice of them. We're going to do the Yankee as planned. It's worth requesting because they might not expect you to do it, and it's an AR approach, so they probably would not set it up as the standard approach because there'll be plenty of people who can't fly it, of course.
Mike is now current.
Right, you can see the airplane's diving down, but I'm going to convert it to speed and then select 250, so that creates an immediate problem. And who knows what the problem is. We're high, only 600 feet high, but we are high, and now, because of that ridiculous cost index I put in, of 100, the managed descent speed is 340 knots. So it wants to fly at 340 knots indicated, but we'll be much slower at 250. So we're not going to have enough drag because we're going slower. There's less drag on the airframe. Because, as we said, this indicated speed effectively shows us that pressure on the front of the airplane. So let's fix it now. Here come the speed brakes. And the magic of the 321 is we get full speed brake available to us, even with the autopilot in. In the 320, only half will work. Victor Tango says, in the sim we have various plugins to measure the quality of landings, but of course it's not realistic. Do you actually get marks rated during training in real life? No. During training, your trainer will judge whether the landing is safe. Safe does not mean a certain feet per minute. And there's our level off. But traffic is descending beneath us by 5,000 feet, so that's not a problem. Let's go to constraint. Yeah, so the trainer will judge whether your landings are consistent, are they safe, and are they using the correct technique. Those are the sort of criteria. So if you're, I don't know, idling the thrust levers at 50 feet, but you're still managing smooth landings, that's wrong. That's not good enough. If you're doing everything right, but you're then just starting to go off the side of the runway for any reason, that's not good enough. So it's, if you're idling the thrust levers at the right point, you're flaring at the right point, you're touching down in the touchdown zone and near the center line, but it feels a bit firm, doesn't matter. That's not a concern. It's a balancing act, but it's safety. So that all the plugins that we have that mark G-force and vertical speed and so on. I mean, vertical speed is never used as a criteria really. G-force. Descend flight level 130, Manta 256. Thrust side open descent. And we're going to 130. But yeah, so that will be a judgment by the other pilot. The only time you'd need to actually get numbers involved is if you thought it could have been a hard landing where engineering will need to inspect the aircraft. Checkpoint says, could you pull the speed brakes fully in the A320 and then it just goes maximum to 50%? Would it lock at 50 or would the autopilot disconnect? Good question. So in the 321, as we said, we can use full. In the 320, I can do that and I'll go to full, but all I'll get is half on the flight controls. In fact, you can't really see it, and you can't see the speed brakes very well. But anyway, yeah, you can see we get full here, and if I show you the 320, it gets half, something like that, or a bit more maybe. Yeah, but no, you can select it. The Airbus is, again, does everything for you. So if you in the 320, I typically I only use half because I know that's all, but if you want to be sure you're getting every bit of speed brake, you can put it past half and it will just give you half. It won't disconnect the autopilot. So we're doing alright with the speed brake, catching our profile. College says, does using the speed brake affect the passenger comfort? Is it noticed by the passengers? Yeah, you can feel it. If you're paying attention in the cabin, you'll feel it. It might, you get a bit of a push down, or you might feel the airplane decelerate a bit. They're a bit noisy, they rumble, but there's nothing too exciting about it. Especially not half speed brake. Full speed brake is quite good. Yeah, you probably notice. But they're not a concern for passenger comfort. No, we don't like using them because. Well, no. Let me rephrase that. You're absolutely fine to use them. Use them to keep the flight safe, and use them if you need them. That's what they're there for. I mean, somebody's paid for them, so definitely. The point is, I'm now using speed brakes. What I could have done is descended a bit earlier, so then I'd have had idle thrust for longer, and I'd have saved a bit of fuel. That would have been slightly more efficient than what I'm doing. Now, I didn't know I was going to have to descend at 250 knots, but that's how we are. So there you go. Yeah, we're pretty close. So this controller's going to have to coordinate all those arrivals at once. You're welcome, Victor Tango. You're welcome. Bruno says, is it true if you turn on both packs at the same time, you can cause damages to eardrums? Descend flight level 9 Manta 256. There's that triple click because it reverted, but I've already pulled open descent. Thrust idle open descent. Let's get the speed brakes out. Now,
130 is in 95 zone.
in the real aircraft, if you were to put speed brakes out and you're this slow and getting near to your green dot, if I put full speed brake out in a 321 with no flaps out, what would happen is that VLS would come up through the green dot and it would be up here somewhere. Yeah, so you do have to be careful of that. But the Toliss doesn't simulate that. Right, well, we don't need full speed brake anymore. Yeah, exactly, chip point, but it is what your boss paid for. So Bruno is asking, if you turn on both packs at the same time, you can cause damages to eardrums, for example. So we have two packs which provide air for the air conditioning and pressurization. After takeoff, if you've taken off with packs off, we turn them on one at a time, then we wait 10 seconds and turn on the second one. The reason is passenger comfort. Now, if you did both at the same time, would it actually cause eardrums? I don't know. I don't think so. It's just a passenger comfort thing. It'd probably make your ears pop quite noticeably, though. That's what I would imagine. I don't think it's an actual concern that it would damage eardrums. I mean, if you have a cold and you fly, your eardrums could burst either way.
Right there, direct Sierra Mike 454. Right, turn to Sierra Mike 454, Alpaca 28 Whiskey Alpha.
Richie Ray says, is 2,000 feet per minute safe? Yes, so 2,000 feet per minute is absolutely fine. 4,000 feet per minute is fine. Once you are descending at 4,000 feet per minute, no one's going to know the difference. It just might be slightly steeper. The difference is the aggression. So if you go from, if you're level and then you shove the nose down to 2,000, that's what you'd feel. But yeah, 2,000 feet per minute is absolutely fine. You can descend at that all the way pretty late on the approach. Alright, here we go then, levelling off. No, we won't be able to barrel roll, Russian fan. Rush fan, because you can see the bank limits there. That's as much as it would let us bank. So it simply wouldn't do it. Speed out star. There we go. Right, heading downwind now. We've got 10 miles, so 10 miles is not much for... And there's the traffic in front, excellent. It's just for backtracking. Right, so we don't press LS because we're not going to use it. But we're below 10,000 feet. Landing lights on, seatbelts can come on. Right, so see it's 250 knots, then 230 knots. So from now on, our speeds will hopefully match up with what air traffic is expecting to give us, and we can go back into our managed sort of modes. Oh, Alexander says he meant 2,000 feet per minute landing. Yeah, 2,000 feet per minute landing. I mean, again, 2,000 feet per minute landing, yeah, that's not good. But it's more done on G-force. For context, if you were to land at 700 feet per minute, as if you didn't even flare, you just came straight in, I'm sure that would be over 2G. Descent level 70, Manta 256. 70. Let's put it into Des. Des, Blue 70. Yeah, sorry, Richie Rees, if I misunderstood that. Sorry, could you say again for Manta 256?
Manta 256, radio speed 200 knots.
200 knots, Manta 256. Here we go then. Getting into Airbus 321 problems because that's below our green dot. So we're going to have to start using our flaps all the way out here. It should be a nice sunset approach. Stubacker is on his start. Enjoy. See you soon. Enjoy Cape Town.
Flight level 900.
Flight level 900 for easy 947.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get below the clouds.
4,500 feet at Sierra Mike 452. Clear the
There's thrust idle.
approach, runway 12.
Speed reducing.
4,500 feet. And,
Below our flap 1 speed. Flaps to 1.
Clear for RMP approach Zulu 112. Takeoff.
Now it's not really, it's not going to prioritize that speed, it's prioritizing the descent. I'm going to have to force it into vertical speed.
Manta 256, could you descend to flight level 60? Correction to 6,000 feet, QNH 1032.
Descend 6,000 feet, QNH 1032, Manta 256. Alright, QNH 1032, there it is. 6,000 feet, arms, there it is.
Flight level 70.
I'm using vertical speed. It's not slowing down fast enough. That's why I've gone into vertical speed. So I'm going to use the speed brakes now. Let's get it slower. And now, because I'm using the speed brakes, I'm going to pull for open descent. Thrust idle open descent.
Easy 957. Flight level.
Let's see if we can get below these clouds, get a nicer view. Put on the engine anti-ice. It's below 10 degrees out there.
Flight level 70220.
We are just coming abeam the volcano now. So yeah, let's try and get down. That would be nice. If not, we'll make sure we'll go and do a nice group flight around here. Richard V, good to see you. Thanks for coming. I hope you're doing well. Axel Jack says, depends on the gear. 700 feet per minute in F-18 is much more comfortable than a Cessna 152. Yeah. At Sierra Mike 900, cleared RMP Yankee runway 12, Manta 256. Right, so we're clear for the approach now. So 160 knots, Manta 256. Oh, easy answer here. Let's put up flap 2. We don't have much drag, so let's go flaps 2. There we go. Coming back to 160 knots. So we're going down to 6,000, but we've been cleared for the approach. So on this leg, we need to be 4,500 feet. He's cleared us for the approach, so we can go down to 4,500 feet with the approach now, with the procedure. So there's 4,500, and you'll see we're pretty much on profile there. We're just going to have the speed back. Getting flap 2 out makes a big difference. It gives us a lot of drag. The QNH is flashing on the PFD. It shouldn't be. It's flashing because we were above what this thinks is the transition level. Transition level in here, I'm not sure what it was loaded in as. Yeah, 50. So it was flashing because actually the transition level I should have entered was probably higher. So that was my mistake. So it was.
256, you can continuation to 4,000. You can continuation according with the minimum QNH.
Ah, there we go. Thank you. Descend with the procedure QNH 1032 Manta 256. There you go. So he may have been expecting me to level at 6,000 actually, but I should have clarified that with him. Right, speed brakes can come in, and now, frankly, we're low and slow. Let's just do that. Speed, vertical speed. Following our colleagues. Yeah, 160. This is going to be a long, slow approach, but this is nice. Shame. Hopefully we'll get the view. In fact, let's keep descending. Let's get down. I want to get a view of the islands. That's Sushi Guy FS. Hello. Thanks for coming. Hope you're doing well, Richard V.
4,500, QNH 1032 and speed 160 knots for easy 957.
Easy 957 at Sierra Mike 900, clear RNP Yankee approach, runway 12.
It was blocked for easy 957.
There we go. It's annoying. Still not low enough. Oh, so close. There's our outstar.
Clear for the Yankee approach for.
So when can we descend? There we go. The Alpaca's already backtracking. Excellent. It's all working out. So 4-3. We're supposed to be here. 3-1 at the decel point. It's quite a way away. I mean, there's no terrain beneath us.
DHL 205, 4 mile final, runway 12.
1.5 minutes from threshold, please expedite. Advise if unable to reach sector.
There we go. It's all going to kick off here. That controller's going to have his work cut out for him.
Roger, will advise. Alpaca 28 Whiskey Alpha.
DHL 205, traffic performing backtrack, expect late landing clearance. Continue approach runway 12.
And round the turn we go.
20 degrees.
Oh, I'm sorry about the weather, but we'll come and see it again.
We'll expect late clearance to continue approach.
Alpaca 22 Golf, reduce to minimum approach speed.
Well, 1,200 feet we decided was the minimum on there. I think we're safe down to 2.2, to be honest with you. So what I'm going to do is keep descending because I want to... I know that's not efficient, but we are trying to enjoy our view today. So there's vertical speed 1,000. Start to see the water. We're so close. So close, so close.
DHL 205, go around.
Oh, no.
DHL 205 going around.
Alpaca 28 Whiskey Alpha, traffic is performing the go around. Please expedite the backtrack.
Now that's it's tricky because this is we're going to have to be really careful with this. So I'm going to... This is a balancing act because...
Alpaca 28 Whiskey Alpha, Ponte Delgada.
28 Whiskey Alpha.
The traffic is performing the go around.
So we don't want to be... If we slow down too fast, we'll end up in a problem where we'll be so... there's the islands. There we go.
Traffic is going
Yeah.
around, just passing turn off Foxtrot. I'll be leaving the runway in a second. Thanks.
There you go. So they're going to come off at Echo. So yeah, the downside of this runway is not really set up for this runway because
Alpaca 22
it's just...
Golf, you are number 1.
If I slow down too fast with medium auto brake and max reverse, then it'll take me ages to go to the end and turn around. So what I'm going to do
Number 1, continue approach to the Golf.
is you'd have to check your performance figures work. Now I'm going to leave it as it is and we'll just balance it. We'll balance it.
Alpaca 28 Whiskey Alpha via
But yeah, you need to be really careful that your performance figures are working for you. Because yeah, that's an unfortunate setup. So that could happen to me, and yes, I know Yes Papa's following me, so I won't feel bad. Although there is now this other traffic going to have to be squeezed in, find their go around. Minimum approach speed, Manta 256. Oh, now that's unusual. That is really unusual. So let's get the vertical speed. Oh, not that much. 500 feet per minute. It's not active. So now I'm in selected. If I manage the speed now, it's going to go to 250. Watch, there you go, or 230. The last speed in there. So I'm going to wind it back. Let's go gear down, flap 3. As we said, gear down. And flaps full. It's activated the approach phase. And now you'll see why that's so important, because we get VDEV and LDEV scales showing up. I'm going to manage the speed. That wind is coming from the right, so that's as we had hoped for. But yeah, so RNAVs, it's very important that that approach phase is activated or you won't get this page. Outstar, there we go, we're level at our platform altitude, that's no problem. That's what we wanted. The airplane couldn't land itself off an RNAV, no. But we are now at our final approach speed. It's pretty fast. We're in a heavy 321 NEO, sadly. Now, flying along like this is slightly uncomfortable. It's not what we like to do, especially flat full, but he wants us as slow as possible, so what else can we do? The reason this is uncomfortable is if we have an engine failure now, you're not supposed to fly single engine level with full flap out. It's too much drag, so you'd need to bring that flap in. So yeah, it's not ideal.
It's on the RNAV Yankee approach. Next waypoint is Romeo 354.
So yeah, so that's my next point. Although we've got this restriction on the runway, let's get rid of this chart, we're not using that one. We need to be careful not to get too excited, because the main thing is that we don't want to go off the end of the runway or have any issues like that. So safety first. If the spacing's too tight and someone has to go around, so be it. And that's the same for us. If we have to go around, so be it. I'm not too concerned. We've got plenty of fuel to do it, and that's one reason not to show up at a single runway airport with minimum fuel if you can avoid it. Right, here we go then. So the next point is going to be where we want to start our descent at 508. So let's make sure we've armed that. There we go. App nav, final blue is armed. Oh, excuse minimums. Good point. Thanks, Chick Point. So, yeah, so what's our excuse today? It's a NEO long range. We haven't flown the long range before. That's the excuse. I've sure I can think of some others before 1,000 feet. My notebook's sort of in the way, if I can use that one. Ooh. Someone's lost their approach clearance. There's final lap. We're going to start down now, fully configured. Our approach checklist is briefing confirmed, decam status checked, seatbelts are on. Get rid of that engine anti-ice now. Barra ref, we've got 560 sets. MDA-DH is set. Sorry, Barra ref is 1032, it's set, and MDA-DH 560 is set. Engine mode selector can be in normal. There's a radio altimeter at 2,000 feet, which matches above sea, so that makes sense. And now we need to set in that go-around altitude of 4,500 feet. You'll see that it's white. That is correct. Toliss have done a great job. In the Neos, it is white. 4,500 in the event of a go-around. Landing checklist. Cabin is secured. Auto thrust is in speed. Go-around altitude is set. And ECAM memo is landing. No blue. There's the runway. There's the traffic that's made it down. There's our colleague. They might do a turn there, it looks like. I suppose... I think we'll do that. I think it's silly to go all the way to the end. I know in real life we would, but I think in this case it's not fair on the controller. So I'm going to pretend I didn't read that note and that it doesn't apply in Flight Sim Land. We'll just backtrack wherever we are. So we'll go medium auto brake max reverse. Just for the context here that there's just so many of us. Nice. I mean, this is the default scenery. This is where X-Plane really excels. This is a default airport that's been modified by users, and they do a great job. See the crosswind from the right there? Clear to land, runway 12, Manta 256. Oh, there we go. So they vacated left there. Ah, interesting, interesting. Right, so 1,000 is stable. Visual. This is an interesting looking approach. Right, so let's go. Autopilot off, flight directors off, bird on, runway track 120, and just nudge ourselves towards the terrain and therefore that centre line, still 3 degrees, so keep it as we normally would. Wind is from the right, so don't get blown in towards the ground. I'm expecting a bit of a picture to the right, keep it descending. Quite a serious upslope there though, that's quite impressive. Watch that rate descent. There we go. Idle. Kick off the drift. Hold it. There we go. Match reverse. Medium auto brake. Spotters. Reverse green. Decel. Brakes medium kicking in. 70 knots. Reverse idle. We'll go manual brakes, and let's get ourselves X-right, backtrack, vacate left onto Alpha, Manta 256, thank you. So we'll go a bit to the left, like this. Let's go to forward idle now, still doing 15 knots. Let's go over here, so you misalign yourself from the runway like that. Get yourself over the line on this side, and then we can do hard right turn. That's a bit fast. There we go, 5 knots. As I always say, amazingly manoeuvrable. Amazingly manoeuvrable. Right, we're going to have to go uphill here, so let's start spooling up. Look at that, we'll be on the centre line almost. So there's traffic on final, so let's get ourselves careful with the thrust. We're on the runway though, so using a bit more thrust isn't an issue. He wants us left on Alpha to get off the runway, which is very fair. So I'm not going to focus on the cleanup or anything until we've got ourselves off the runway. Did that work out, was it? Someone said butter. So we shall see. What did it end up as? Was it 228, was it? Very good. Right. Left turn here. As I said, the feet per minute. The other thing with my add-in is it likes you to float, but on shorter runways you're just not allowed to. We'll see the replay, see how it worked out. So here we go, Alpha, and then okay, right. Amazing how busy this airport's gotten, it's great. All the problems of real air traffic control. There we go. We'll let EasyJet in.
Clear to land, easy non-fire zone.
Manta 256, taxi to Bravo, hold short of runway.
Taxi to Bravo, hold short runway, Manta 256. Okay, right, so now we're vacated. Bring those in, disarm those. Get rid of these lights just so they don't confuse our landing colleague. Start firing up the APU. Get rid of weather radar. Bravo's there. Okay.
DGL 405 at Sierra Mike 453, cleared RNT Zulu approach.
And we'll see our colleague land. Fantastic.
DGL 205 cleared RNT Zulu runway 12 at Sierra Mike 453. And we might need to change to visual.
Confirm your request, visual approach.
Let's stop here. Set that brake.
DGL 205, we're not sure yet, we are direct 453 and then we will see what the autopilot will do.
There's our colleague. I think this is Yes Papa. Nice, there we go.
Manta 256, cross runway 12, vacate via Echo and taxi to the apron. Goodbye.
Let's cross the runway via Echo, taxi to the apron, Manta 256. Thank you so much for your help tonight. Goodbye. Right, let's not mess around. Brakes released. Get going. Strobe lights and landing lights on.
Backtrack approved. Taxi via taxiway Echo to the apron. Goodbye.
Yeah, going to the end would have been a bit mean. So yeah, so short runway like that. Especially, you'll see, look at the slope on this runway. It's running away from us here. So my right wing is down, my left wing is up as I cross it. So we had the touchdown zone was up, and then the let me just check the right echo. Yeah, there we go. Touchdown zone was uphill, and then it immediately went downhill. So again, the feet per minute thing doesn't work at all because the runway is going away from us. So I'm just for context pointing out, I suppose, why feet per minute isn't used as a measure ever. Because to land or to fly parallel to the runway, we probably need a descending feet per minute for that entire final approach, you see, because we'd have to the runway is descending with us. It's the same when you have upsloping runways. You end up with, like, you're landing with, and it says VS plus 60 or whatever. It doesn't mean it was a good landing. That could have been a hard landing for all we know. It's one of those things, yeah. Cross the runway 4 to go. Yeah, we could have sent Yes Papa around. That could have been a good idea. All right, let's get the lights off and let's go and park up. Go and enjoy the replay. We all made it. Fantastic. And this controller is doing a fantastic job. They did really good job on that spacing to get us all in here. And I like the use of alpha there. That was great fun. I'm really, really glad we came. Thank you all for coming along. This is the default sounds for the NEO, Callum. Yes, but with the default Toliss add-on NEO sounds, which are really nice. But yeah, thank you all for coming along. I've really enjoyed this one, and it's great to have a good controller like this, because we'd have probably made a complete mess of that if we'd all done it ourselves. A300 made it in as well, the long haul. There's the alpaca, and there's our Manta colleagues. Not sure where we'll park. I do have a parking chart. Oh, we'll just pick whichever looks free, I suppose. I feel like being closer to the terminal though. Get rid of those lights, don't need those now. APU's up and available. Can't fit on that stand. The A300's too big. Or that one. That one looks a bit close to our colleague. Yeah, there's quite a few stands, but it looks like most of them are quite close to each other. Let's go for this one here. That's definitely clear. Whiskey 3. Oh, Victor Tango had to come and make us all jealous. Victor Tango's having a pizza delivery. Excellent. Well, enjoy that. Thank you so much for coming along and moderating. Thanks, Checkpoint. You're very welcome. And yeah, shortly to come, replay and the rock outro music, of course, which is why I know you're all here, of course. Fantastic. Delta 757 made a hard landing here that damaged the plane's fuselage. Well, I can see why. That thanks, Chef Dad. That's good information. And that I can see why that upslope on that touchdown zone is particularly noticeable. And look at the upslope here, parking on stand. We're almost going backwards. That's too much thrust. Shouldn't add that much. Thank you very much, Matt, for your 50 sec donation. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the stream. Matt, thank you so much. Thank you for coming along. And thank you for your donation. Very kind of you. Right. Let's bring it to a stop there. Set the parking brake. And there we go. There's our colleague. Is anyone else on approach still coming in? Yeah, there's still more to come. Right, let us go and have a look at the replay. Actually, no, I always finish with a shutdown. So AP is available. Parking brake is definitely set. Let's get those engines off. Passenger signs can come off. Once those engines are pulled down a bit. Oh, there you go. They're going to need 2 minutes of cooling. Get the beacon off. Right, let's disconnect from VATSIM. And thank you to those as well who flew along with us. Always nice to have colleagues, and it gives us some nice dynamic situations, especially on approach there. That was great. As I say, really impressed with that controller. Let us disconnect. So there we go. Jumping to the replay. There we go. So here was us coming around the island. Really long final approach there. And view external runway. There can't be another runway around. So there we go. So yeah, really strange runway this. And it's got a real slope sideways as well. Right. In we came. See that crosswind off to our right. Then we took out the autopilot and manually adjusted ourselves. Now, I may be eating my words. This may be a terrible landing, but let's see what happens. Into the flare. Holding it there. There we go. And down the hill you go. That would have a serious impact on your performance on landing. That would extend your landing distance. I'm glad we had medium water brake. In real life, you account for that slope in your performance figures. That is really quite noticeable. Let's do the actual runway. Came at the threshold. And hopefully we'll see the rudder kick off the drift a little bit. There it goes. A little bit of drift off, drift off, drift off. There's a touchdown. And that's that. Yeah, great stuff. Thank you again, Matt, for your donation. Really appreciate it. Thank you all for coming along. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. I know I had a bit of a break, but we will be back flying around. Plenty of flights on the stream soon, as well as more video tutorials to come. This will be a nice view, I think. The classic view for this one, given we have the islands out there. So here comes the outro music, and I want to thank you all again. Thank you to the moderators. Thank you to those of you just for coming along and watching and chatting. I really appreciate it. Do please leave a like if you've enjoyed the flight. It makes a huge difference to the channel, as I say. So it's really appreciated. Otherwise, if you'd like to see more, do subscribe, like the channel, and you'll get notified. And I do put out notifications and community posts. Also, join the Discord. You'll get more information earlier about other streams and videos such as that. And then what we're going to do is leave you here with the music. We'll see you again in another video soon. Thank you again, moderators, donators, everyone viewing, everyone flying along. Really appreciate it. See you again soon. Thank you, and bye-bye.